What's going on, everybody? Cali Death Podcast back once again, episode 151. First one into our fourth year, guys. That's
Yo,
what's up.
that's pretty
I'm
sick.
your host, Anthony Trapani, and I'm joined by resident homies as always. I got Casey Howard, Joseph K with us. What up, y'all?
Yo,
We're gonna see the gorilla, Joel Horner, pretty soon. Gotta wait for his Chiefs to finish playing football before he gets on here and talks about some death metal, but we'll see him soon. Tonight we're joined by Stevie Boiser. What's going on, dude?
Yo, how's it going, man? Congrats on
Thank you.
4 years, by the way, guys.
Well, 3 years, but we're kicking off our fourth year with you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Thank you so much for giving us your time. You know, you're in a different time zone, so that's always we're just always grateful for people to take time out of their lives, dude. And you just told us you recently became a father, so I know how tough, home life is when that's happening.
Oh yeah.
How many months are you guys into it?
She'll be a year at the end of this
Okay.
month.
All right.
So like literally the day before tour starts is her birthday.
Wow. Okay. Well, at least you can, kick off the first birthday before you take off.
Exactly. Be leaving home on a very, very high note. She's
Hell
a
yeah.
wonderful kid.
Totally, dude. And it's really cool that FaceTime and all that stuff is available now. Back, when we were touring, I couldn't. It was just over the phone stuff, or and so I think that for touring musicians, for sure, it's easier to not feel as distant as you would be as a touring musician. Because, dude, to be honest, dude, that was one of the main reasons why I stopped touring, dude. It is seeing, and I'm not trying to discourage you from what you're about to do, but I'm just saying you're gonna feel something on when you come back. You're gonna see some changes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And so 1 month at that age, it kind of is significant, but at the same time, it's like you got FaceTime, you got a instant, visual that you can have,
Yeah,
So,
it's the easiest time in the history of humanity to, do the thing and be on the road and also still be connected.
right.
It is pretty cool because like when my wife and I first started dating, we did the long distance thing because we met when I was on tour. And so her and I have done a really good job of establishing that kind of communication with each other and stuff already. So we've
You're already
talked
familiar
about
with that, yeah.
how we can carry forward and stuff like that. So we can still have like some family time and like, Flora and I can still see each other and talk to each other and I can see what's going on and they can see
Hanging out with the Cryptopsy dudes real quick. That just made me remember Matt was telling me, because he's a dad as well, and I was asking him, how is that going for you? And he made sure that every night he read a story over FaceTime. So just throwing it in there, if you want to get some stories to get ready for all those nights.
So I actually I had this idea. There's my daughter loves to read books, and so there's a couple that I pretty much read to her like every single day.
Yeah,
and I am going to I'm gonna track them before I go. I have like a sound picked out for the turn the page thing and stuff like that.
Sweet.
So there are a couple that I usually just do like silly voices for the characters and stuff like that.
Dude, so, you sound just like you're making me you're making me like excited because all my kids aren't babies anymore, but I still read. We still read together, but Fox and Socks. I would challenge myself not only to do the voices of the characters, but I also was in my head too, like since it's such a challenging rhyme book, I would challenge myself to not stumble on anything. So I would get through Fox and Socks without messing up anything that I was saying. And so I would get that gratification of getting through Fox and Socks. Plus I'm playing characters for the kids,
I feel like going through Dr. Seuss books, you like not stumbling over some of those rhymes and like the weird made up
It's
words and
way
stuff
more
like that.
difficult than you think.
It gets difficult.
Dr. Seuss was kind of a badass when it came to writing. I know some of his books are probably, not PC now for some people, but you can't deny that that dude knew how to write a children's book and
Hmm.
really teach poetry and rhyming to kids. Like it was next level. So yeah, dude, those things are super cool to have that in the arsenal because yeah, no matter what, there's going to be the distance. So, but
Hmm.
then you got to think about this, dude. Like touring musicians go out for a month, 6 weeks or whatever, and then they come back to their family. I've been on cruise ships and I've talked to, people that work on those cruise ships where they're out 3 months and then they get a month off back home and then they're back out 3 months again. So and I'd be talking to a guy and he's like, yeah, dude, I just watched my daughter graduate over FaceTime. And I'm just like, what the fuck? But his family is in the Philippines and he's making all this money to send
Mm.
back to them. So it's like this trade off, but it's still, I mean, money is almost, I mean, yeah, obviously for uh, a different country than the United States, it's much easier to fucking live here than it is most places.
Yeah.
I just think that like money isn't everything. I really enjoy the time with my family now, dude.
Hmm.
If I can sacrifice, some money in order trade it for time, I'd much rather have the time, dude.
I definitely feel that. I've actually, so I pretty much took this last year off of touring, aside from going to Canada for a few performances that we had up there with the band. Um, and there are definitely certain things that I'm not going to miss, even if it
Mhm.
requires me like going home, like staying up for 2 or 3 days at a time to make those flights and then do the thing and then make it back
Right.
out to do my job and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to do that. But yeah, I had a lot of time off with my daughter. My wife and I got home from tour. My wife and I had a day together, and then the following day, we were welcoming her into the world. So it was
That's crazy,
definitely a
dude.
wild ride. And I had paternity leave from work, and she had maternity leave from work. So we both got to stay home for quite a while, and really get a whole lot of bonding time, the three of us. And we did this cool thing at the beginning too, where so that we were both able to get plenty of sleep. We would hang out in the afternoons and the evenings, and then I would stay awake until about 6 a.m. Just because when they're first born, you got to feed them like every
Yeah.
2 hours,
Yeah.
and change their diaper and stuff. So in order for us to be able to like sleep properly and not turn into zombies, I would stay up until about 6 in the morning, and then at 6 I'd wake Whitney up, and then I would go to sleep, and I'd sleep until like noon or whatever, and then I would get up and we would spend the afternoons and the early evenings together.
Right.
That way we were able to just be super present and just make sure that everything was taken care of. And like I said, I'd just come off tour, so staying up until 6 in the morning wasn't super terrible. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I was up until 3 or 4 anyways.
Anyways, yeah.
So it was just those cool, add 2 extra hours onto the end of it, and then we trade off.
Right,
Fun.
dude. And you guys probably added a lot more zen to the whole situation by doing that,
Hmm.
and because obviously it's all about her and her, the young one's schedule. So
Yep.
With 3 kids, I've experienced all 3 versions of what you could have. The first one, I thought we were golden, dude. He started sleeping 7 hours after being only a month old. And we were
Nice.
like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Everybody's talking shit about being, these
Uh-huh.
times. I'm like, dude, we're sleeping nice. And then we totally got that karma on the second one
Hmm.
was up every hour and a half.
Brutal.
And then my daughter came number 3 and she was like, all right, I'll be a little bit of both of that. We'll even it out to where, but yeah, my middle Dominic, he definitely wasn't a sleeper.
Yeah.
But
We got the same treatment with the first one, so we're just one and done.
you say that, dude. No, there's gonna be something that happens in like in another year where you're gonna be like, we just did all that. I think I kind of want to do it again. It's gonna happen, dude. The
Yeah.
same switch that happened with you when she was born.
Mhm.
There's another switch that like it. Nature tricks us, dude, to
Yeah.
keep making humans. That's really what it is.
I mean,
It's
that's
all it's all about expanding the species, dude.
yeah,
And
that's kind of what we're all programmed to do, you know?
yeah, yeah. And I fell for it 3 times, dude. I mean, I'm not trying to brag, but I'm a kind of one shot, one kill kind of guy. So it happens very easy. All right.
Okay, I'm gonna hop
Now
in real
all that
fast.
parenting in the beginning, dude. Let's move into some death metal and some. All right, let's do the commercial shit. Battleforgecoffee.com, the homies and deeds of flesh, bringing you quality roasted coffee beans for you to grind up and brew to get yourself ready for the day or the evening, however you prefer. Go over there, support those guys. It's good stuff. They got swag, all that stuff. Underground death metal mixed with coffee. Go there. And then for us, first time repping my own Cali Death podcast t-shirt. I literally have
Looking
not
pretty cool,
owned one
dude.
of these shirts until this weekend, which I gotta give props to the professor for bringing them up for me. So now I can represent. Wait, I just saw somebody talking about the mic sound. Is my mic sounding weird? Your
Uh,
mic-
during the coffee plug, it like you were like waning a little bit, but you're totally back to
Oh,
normal.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe I don't know what was going on. Anyways, guys, you want to buy Cali Death Podcast merch? Go to calideathpodcast.bigcartel.com. That is where you can get this shirt or our classic logo t-shirt. They're both available there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you for wearing it. I was happy to bring it to you, and we should spend a little bit talking about the circumstances under which I was able to see you and deliver the shirts.
Yeah, dude. I kind of wanted to wait for the gorilla for that because we all were
Mm.
there together. So hopefully his Chiefs win the freaking game and then
Hopefully they lose and he's on here with a good attitude.
quicker.
But real fast, I did find the tour flyer, and I want to throw it up and let Stevie plug his own band's tour.
Mhm.
It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
high quality, unfortunately, but it has the info there, Stevie, if you can see that. So
Yeah, yeah.
if you don't remember you go ahead.
Yeah, Inferi, we're my band Inferi. We're about to hit our first headlining tour. We've branded it Rags to Riffage. Just
Yes.
in good spirits. It's a fun name, rolls right off the tongue.
I approve.
Yeah, dude, we spent so much time trying to think of we're like, cool, let's come up with something sick, and it's just going to be our trademark headlining tour thing that we can do again and again and again.
Nice.
And
Tell us the story real quick. How'd you get? So was it like you guys are just bouncing ideas, and then who's the one who said it, and then everybody's got big eyes, like,
oh, dude.
yeah!
So we spent so long just like idea after idea after idea, throwing things in the group chat. No, that's not good enough. No, that's not. Whatever. Until our drummer Spencer, I guess, one night he hit the chat with it, and all of us were just like, "Oh fuck, that's the one,
it.
dude. That's the one."
Yes.
So yeah, we're gonna hit the road with First Fragment, Summoning the Lich, and Tomarum, and it kicks off on the 28th of October in Chicago. Yeah, we're doing Chicago, Iowa City, Minneapolis, Winnipeg, Saskatoon, Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, Seattle, Portland, Cuperino, Fresno, LA, Scottsdale, Albuquerque, Denver, Oklahoma City, Austin, Fort Worth, Houston, Mobile, I don't know, is somewhere in Alabama, should be sick.
I think it's Mobile.
Orlando, Atlanta, and then we're gonna end at the end here in Nashville.
Fuck yeah.
So I just put it together, dude. Your daughter was born a day after my birthday. I'm October 26th.
Oh hell yeah, dude, that's sick.
Yeah. I got a little Scorpio girl, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, she's a wonderful kid.
Hell yeah.
And then after that tour, we're gonna be home for a few days, and then we're flying over to the UK to play some shows with Decapitated.
Yeah.
Their anniversary tour for Nihility, where they're going to be playing that record from front to back. And we're going to be playing with them, Obscura, and the Materia, and that.
Nice.
Very much looking forward to it as well. We've toured with Obscura before, and those guys are freaking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Talented, super sick. Yeah, it's going to be
Perfect,
a blast.
dude. Killer, dude. Where can people go buy merch right now if they want to buy a shirt right now?
So we got a couple different things. We have a bunch of cool stuff over on Night Shift merch, and we also have a number of things up on Indie Merch right now, as well as the Artisan Era store. So if you're looking for some sick Inferi gear, shirts, CDs, vinyl, hoodies, stuff like that, you can hit any of those 3 spots. And if you're looking for a specific link for that, if you hit up any of our social media pages, we've got it in the link tree that's in our bio.
Sick, dude.
Yeah.
Go support the homies.
Those are great supporting bands on that Rags to Riffage lineup. I've seen all 3 of those bands. Actually, I have not seen Tomerum yet, but I've seen live footage, and I'm a big fan of those guys. But in general, Summoning are amazing, and First Fragment, I got to play with them a couple times this year, and they bring the heat. It's a really cool little tech death tribute thing you got going on, like
Thanks,
big
man.
names. So yeah,
I caught First Fragment when they were here with Grey Lotus
Nice.
on the end of that run, and I'd been waiting to see them since 2018. I actually flew across the states to go see. I don't know if you guys heard about this. It ended up being like this whole crazy ordeal. But originally they were supposed to play not St. Louis, Louisville Death Fest in 2018, I want to say, or 2017, one or the other. It ended up being this whole crazy thing, but First Fragment ended up not being able to do the tour that they were on. So, but it was the one and only time I got to see Inferi play. So I was super stoked on that. It was before I joined the band, and it was super sick.
Interesting. Well, that raises some questions about how you joined the band, and we could
and
hop in and totally ignore that somebody joined the podcast in the meantime.
No, I don't like to be. I mean, when I pop in, I don't want to be brought up. It's fine.
We got the resident homies are rounded out now. We got Joel Horner up in here with us.
What's up, Steve?
dude?
Yo, how's it going, man?
How's it going, man?
Doing well, and you?
Good. I was listening a little bit, so I was, new father, Scorpio. Yeah, I was like watching the Chiefs and I'm like, Scorpio, new father.
How's your Chiefs doing?
Oh, we won.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, now we were wondering what kind of mood you were going to come on in.
It was a weird win, so I'm just kind of like, I'm like in between, so I'm just kind of like, yeah, I was won, but
It's a technical one, but
that's awesome.
well, sick, dude. Oh, Steve, I want to ask you a question. Not since Joel's here, we gotta air this out real quick. Joel, Joseph, and I went to the Great American Music Hall last night in San Francisco, and I had a spiritual experience. I don't know about you guys, dude.
My whole day's been different.
I was fucking lost in the sauce, dude. That was insane.
It was. So
I haven't headbanged like that in so long, just full blown, letting the hair go. I had to take my glasses off just so I could just go.
It's funny when you were headbanging, actually, because there's one point where, because we kind of switched, we had like a cool spot right on the top on the kind of the balcony, and so we, when someone pissed, they would take the front. We kind of like rotate around.
Yep.
And
we
like,
had the perfect spot. We're right by the bar, right by the bathroom.
Well, I always like to get close to the sound booth, because the sound booth's gonna have the best sound, so it's like it's gonna have the most even sound. It was kind of closer to that, so I was like, fuck yeah. And then you were headbanging, and I was like, oh, Joseph's got great shampoo, dude. You got a good smell. I had a thought of that last night, like during, and I was like, it smells good, dude.
That's cool. It's been a while since it's really.
So, Stevie, do you know the band Igor?
Yeah. I've seen a few of their music videos. I haven't dove into their catalog deeply, but holy crap, like all the videos that I've seen from like their music videos anyways are like super nutty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
I was like, how am I going to talk about this tonight? But I got to air it out just for a second. But we've been familiar with that group for quite some time, and I call it a group, but it really is. There's the brain behind it all, and I should have had his name offhand, but now he's a French composer DJ, dude, that just he has made something so great, dude. And even though I had such a history with his catalog and listening to those albums, I was not ready for what happened last night.
Yeah.
I thought I was. I was like, oh yeah, dude, Igor. I've been bumping them for 12 years, you know. But no, it wasn't that, dude. We were caught off guard in such the best way, dude.
That's awesome.
It was a performance. I'll call it performance of the year for me right now. We still got the rest of the year.
Yeah, it'll be hard to top, man. It was really a highlight, and it simultaneously had like the heaviest death metal at a show and the sickest like dubstep drop at a show like ever. I was just like, it combined it, and then there was like opera, and it was like super cathartic. Like I was like into the vocals, and then the guitar riffing and the drums were like really tight.
The mix was perfect.
The mix was great, and it was such a San Fran type venue and experience for me. Like perfect place to go see it.
You
sounds
can
like
feel the
something
history in that place.
Just sort of satiates so many different quadrants of the
yeah. It's like the vibe of the venue, the lights, the people. It was kind of like because like what I mean, I don't really agree with Curtis about Melt Banana, but
yeah, Joel didn't have the. I connected with Melt Banana for sure, but then I go to Joel, he's like,
yeah.
Nah.
I knew what Igor was, and all these other bands were opening were kind of being like experimental too, and I was like, well, that's a swing and a miss.
But it's funny is that Melt Banana's been around for like 30 plus years, you know.
Yeah,
but that Japanese noise stuff. Yeah, it's pretty hard.
Yeah, it's just not my style. The noise stuff, I'm just like, all right, I got it right off the bat. I was like, okay, you got a bunch of pedals, and you're gonna make like the guitars going. Well, there's like a ridiculous.
You can't deny that they were performers too, though, dude. They definitely put on a performance.
Yeah,
dude.
Still better than anime.
Ian's got my back, dude. Fucking Dave Witt or White, I don't know how it's pronounced, but he's been in like every sick grind band, and he played with them.
Sick, dude.
So,
but yeah,
I used to have one of the records like back in high school, man.
Yeah, they did splits with the Locust, which that doesn't give them much more credit for most people that I talk to, but that gives them more credit for me too.
Did that tour like just start, or is it?
It's at the last leg.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like going down south.
It's gonna hit Nashville.
No, I think it already did. I think it already. It's going down south now, California, and then it's
it's here on Saturday.
With hitting Albuquerque on the so it's going kind of like it's going to Albuquerque on the 16th. I remember because that's the last date I think. I texted my brother, was like, you got to go see it. You got to check, because he's like a DJ, does like, the dubstep, EDM stuff. He was death metal in the beginning and went to that. And I'm like, this is both of those worlds. And, Jared, Archaic, and all those people, hanging out with them for so many years, they've been always trying to get me into like EDM stuff. And I've always been like, it's cool, but it's like, just sounds, it's a little too much, Transformers having sex sounding to me. Like it's just like there's no like payoff for me. It's like oh, it's a breakdown like what they took from like the core band, like the heavy bands or Suffocation or something, like building up to a breakdown and then the breakdown. It's like, all right, but there's no instruments, so there's no like payoff for me. It's like,
well, there have been DJs who have been trying to do this like heavy style of stepping, like dubstep and like Borgor was like the bigger guy from, like 10-15 years ago. But no one until Igor, it's these Gore guys, no one had really pulled it off until Igor. I feel like no one who had tried it has really nailed it until now. And now we got the guy who like figured it out how it works. And it's not just metal and dubstep. It's like also like traditional opera and like weird Arab stuff too. Like you need more than just those two things. And he's got
Baroque. It all. I just learned how to pronounce that last night. Baroque music. I was just like barbecue.
It's like I love barbecue music. It's my favorite.
Barbecue music.
But one thing that I noticed about that will stick with me forever about that show is like we were all shocked at the end of it, because we were just so much like just fucking serotonin, and we're just like, what the fuck? And then we go outside and there's just people are going like, what the fuck? And everyone's like, what the fuck? Everyone was saying it. Everyone's like, what the hell was that? So, like, that's like the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
We went into like interdimensional time capsule, dude, or something like that. Like we got literally shut off from reality in there. Like hypnotism, fully immersed, fully sucked in. Nothing else mattered other than what was happening in those moments. And I wasn't expecting that, but it happened, and I'm so glad that it did. And I'm not trying to make this episode this much. It's not the Igor episode. Maybe we'll get an Igor episode soon. Maybe not soon, but one day. I'd love to chat with that dude. But yeah, dude, that's why I wanted to bring it up
into their catalog more, because like I said, I've seen a couple music videos, but that's kind of just it.
Dive in, dude.
That might be, but yeah.
Just
thank you for driving, Joel. By the way, that was
yeah. I mean, I actually got fucked over on that because we went to Shakti, and Trevor was like, "Who's gonna drive?" And I was like, "I just came from the wine festival, so I'm drunk." And he's like, "Fuck you!" And so he had to drive to that, and he's like, "Well, you're gonna drive to Igor then." And I'm like, "All right, fine, whatever." And then we went to Shakti, and we were only allowed one glass of wine. I'm like, "Sick, dude." Like I could have totally driven to that, and like. So I
made good use of not being the driver and got a couple drinks there. That was sick. But since I'm gonna take off soon, can I just say a little spiel? Okay. So I love Inferi. You guys rule. Stevie, you're a great vocalist.
Thanks, man.
I've seen you guys. I want to say you were singing with them like every time, but I'm not sure. But the latest time I saw was on the Shadow of Intent Enterprise Earth run. Were you still singing for the LA show?
Yeah.
You guys stole that show away, dude. You guys were the best band. I was just like, you guys deserve to be the headliners. And next thing you know, you are headlining a tour. So congrats. And
thank you, I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah. And I'll always rep you guys, and I'll try to catch this show when you roll through. Okay.
Fuck yeah, dude. I'll keep an eye out for you.
So speaking of Enterprise Earth, I'm going to go see my homie Aaron play the drums for them right now. And I will fucking text you guys later.
All right,
have a blast.
And really consider tomorrow night, please. I have open +1, so
I'm pretty down. I might go see Cannibal Corpse with Anthony tomorrow night. San Francisco roll out. All right,
roll up and let's do it.
All right, cheers.
Rock on, brother.
All right.
So are you? Actually, I have a question for you, Steve. I don't know if are you from Sacramento?
No, I'm from I spent most of my life in Colorado.
Okay.
So, I came up in like the Denver metal scene, which was really
okay. Because I remember I've seen you, I guess with Inferi or maybe other bands or something. Maybe
in the Sac area, I've been probably the first time I was down there was with I was doing vocals for Veil of Noth for a few years.
Oh, okay.
And
that was
then,
it.
I know Tethys hit the area as well, and then Inferi's been down there several times. So.
Definitely. Yeah. Because I remember you looked familiar when I saw you with Inferi. I was like, oh, I swear I've seen him with another band. I think it was Veil of Noth. It was back in the like Holy Diver. There's like these venues out there. I think that was probably where I saw you. But
yeah,
it's awesome, man. That's good to see you with such an awesome band. I mean, and shout out Kerry Gear, I think is in the chat. Yeah, Kerry, I love Borgor. He listened to your guys' new album and he was like, dude. He was just like, he doesn't brag about metal albums very often. And he was like almost never actually. And he was just fucking gushing over it and going like, they did the perfect thing. They did 8 songs. They're just in and out. Like, I don't want a long, like fucking tech death album. I want my food and I just like to get full and just like not like get overfilled, because when you have a band like riff crazy band like you guys, it sometimes can overwhelm. Like it's like an origin album. Like I've never sat down and just like by myself, just like I'm just gonna listen to a full origin. Like I can take like bites. I'm just gonna get like pummeled, and I'm like, all right, I need to run some Depeche Mode or something. I need to calm down.
Once when you've got so much going on, it's like kind of we've learned over time that it's definitely better. Plus, if you give people a half hour, you give them a solid 30 to 40 minutes. It's easier for them to enjoy it and digest it and figure out which parts they want to scream along with when you come through town and stuff like that. Plus, also like you get to keep more material for the next record.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you're just out there dropping an hour every time you do the thing, not only are a number of people not going to make it to the very end just because even if they dig it, example, I love Archspire. If Archspire put out an album that was an hour long, like I don't think I would make it all the way through in a listen. I would probably have to, like you said, I'd have to break it up and take bites because there's so much cool stuff going on. And you know, like dense bands or bands that don't have tons of repeating parts and stuff like that, like it takes more than a single listen for you to even go through and pick out all the stuff that you like.
Definitely.
So, you know.
Definitely. I think it's a smart move. I mean, you have, you know, Malcolm is a record label owner too, so he's probably like in on like what you should probably, what the do's and don'ts, you know, more so than the average person, as far as like, let's just do it, you know, because there's bands that are doing things where they're releasing one song, then two songs, then one song, then two, you know, they're doing, there's everything's different nowadays, like as far as how structure and, you know, so that's cool. I think that's just get right to the point, give them what they want, and then like you said, if you have an hour of music, you have another album. If you, you know, if you want to just hold on to it, it's like a good business choice too, if you're like planning on being a touring band.
Yeah, that's kind of one thing that we ended up doing with when we were sitting down and writing Vile Genesis. It was oh man, I want to say like 2019 was kind of when the stuff really first started to like vaguely come together. And then 2020 happened, and we weren't touring, and we're like, cool, let's sit down and focus on finishing this album. And we had much more material than we wanted. So one thing that we did that was really cool is we took the songs that we wanted for Vile Genesis, we collected them, put them together, and we're like, all right, this is a thing. And then we had several other songs, and before we went to go track the album, we're like, hey, why don't we finish these songs? That's where our EP of Sunless Realms came from, is they were songs that were written in the vastness of Vile Genesis, but they didn't quite, like, they didn't make the cut for the album for some reason. And I honestly, of Sunless Realms is easily one of my favorite things that the band has ever done. But like musically, those songs fit together better as a collective than they would have fit on the record.
Interesting.
So, you know, we decided we didn't want to have an album that was like over 40 minutes. So we continued writing. And one nice thing too is like we were able to release the EP, give people some really cool stuff, had a bunch of cool merch and stuff like that that came out alongside it. We literally released the EP the week that we went into the studio to record Vile Genesis. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was also kind of cool. Plus, it, like, you know, when you put stuff out, you will have like a depending on what your band's doing and stuff. But you know, it kind of allowed us to have a little more freedom in studio and like not have to worry about like bills and stuff like that, because we're like, cool, we just did this thing, put it out, and then we got to get to work on the record, which was really sick.
That's super awesome. That's definitely like just a new way. I mean, there's a lot of ideas that you guys are doing and stuff nowadays, especially like I said earlier with like, you know, having your guitar player like being on the pulse of what to do and how to maybe survive playing death metal, you know, like which sounds like such a completely like nonsense to me from my days, because like it was like we'd get back like, all right, dude, here's $400 and you paid. It's like you put in $500 of your own expenses in and you're negative, and is it worth it? You know, it's like now there's these creative ways of putting out music, and I think death metal's got to kind of find a way so we can get more bands to stick around and keep putting out stuff.
Oh, absolutely, dude. And I mean, like, Malcolm is very savvy with a lot of that stuff, so being able to have like his input and Mike's input and stuff like that has been really nice. But then also just kind of also being with people that are not only artistically minded, but also like business savvy. And, you know, we're able to have those conversations about how we should go about things so that we aren't like just wasting tons of our own money, and we're able to still get out and tour and do cool stuff, and you know, really focus on making the band a band that can deliver music to the level that we want, but then also make sure that like we are treating it like a job, and that in turn we're like getting paid like it's a job. You know, like the easiest way to burn people out and no longer get sick music is to just, you know, not be able to support yourself, or even like to support the band as an entity so that it can at least keep itself going, you know?
Definitely. Well, with all that, Anthony, let's bring it back to the he's muted right now, but it's funny, he keeps talking, but no one can hear you when you're not muted on the podcast. You need a technical advisor.
You're muted like on your end.
Should we pretend like what he's saying? He's like, "What are you talking about? I'm not muted. I totally not muted. I didn't do it."
Just like lip read for him or whatever.
Yeah.
Translate.
Like, I don't even know. Are you fucking serious right now? I didn't even do this.
He's like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Look at him.
I don't even know. I don't even care what's going on right now.
Guys, I don't know what the fuck.
You gotta get Gilbert, Michael Gilbert from Severed Savior to help you out with the audio.
Anthony loves being muted, dude.
I know he's not even muted on here too. So yeah, I'll do Anthony's question then. So basically, I'll try to do. I wasn't expecting to do this because he does it every week. But yeah, just take us back to what got you started in music and what was kind of your first influence. Was it something you heard on the radio? Was it something your parents fed to you? Was it like, would Anthony would say, a piece of art, or would it be like something that, like, when you were a kid, that you just were like, all right, I'm listening, and this is now going to be kind of a thing for me?
Oh man, so I got introduced to metal in kind of a weird way. I was watching this Dragon Ball Z movie, and it's called Cooler's Revenge. It's about Frieza's brother coming back to Earth to attempt to do some stuff that he spoilers, he fails. But that had a few songs from like Deftones and Disturbed and Drowning Pool and stuff in it. And fuck, dude, I think at this point I was like 12, maybe 13, and I pretty much only listened to like hip hop and a little bit of stuff that my parents listened to, which was kind of just like, I think at the time my mom was like super in her like old school country phase. But I remember hearing those songs and just being like, dude, what is this?
Yeah.
So I went across the street to this kid that lived across the street from me. Shout out Jake Nix. He hooked it up and gave me like Slipknot's first record and let me borrow, self-titled album and Iowa and Disturbed's first record and Drowning Pool's first record and stuff. And that kind of launched me into it. The thing that really got me trying to like sing along to it though is definitely Slipknot. Like that was the thing that did it for me. Their self-titled album and Iowa were like huge for me. That was where I kind of started everything. And then when it got into like heavier music, my freshman year of high school, a buddy of mine burned me a copy of it was like an album that had 2 CDs on it, and the front half was Cephalic Carnage's Anomalies, and the back half was Origin's Echoes of Decimation. And that was my introduction into like extreme metal. So I went straight from like Slipknot, Korn, System of a Down to like Cephalic Carnage and Origin. There was no in between for me. I was just
that is fucking hilarious. I'm almost actually the same, because I was listening to Slipknot, and because I went through the whole new metal, going to Korn and stuff, and then Slipknot's self-titled came out. I've got the that VHS, like Welcome to the Neighborhood at Sam Goody for $5. It just came out, and they were just like, no one knew about them, and it was $5, and I was like, oh, nice. So I just bought it and was like, what the fuck is this? And then from there, my brother was friends with Cephalic, so cool. He was like, come check out my friend's band. They're playing down here, and I would just watch it as like a young, just in my Slipknot phase. Was not going death metal yet at all. Was still, I had a couple Deicide songs on my computer just to like show how hard I was to my friends. Just like, whatever, dude, you think that's sick? Here's Deicide. That's like I didn't like it. I was just like, dude, check this out. It's called Kill a Christian, dude. Check this out. And like they'd be like, they'd be like, I'll get freaked out kind of, and I'm like, yeah, it's fucking sick. But then I would like literally would go hang out with fucking Cephalic.
Like, was there what was it? Was there anything what was it about Cephalic that stuck out to you that like
it was I didn't really listen to them first, so it was more seeing them live first. So we got to see them at the Launchpad in New Mexico, maybe in 2001 or something. 2000.
Dude, they're a nutty live band.
I know, and it was like back with the old bass player and stuff, which I love Nick, but the old bass player was, I remember I saw them there once, and then Yeah, Josh. That's
Yeah,
right. Yeah, I love
yeah.
Josh. That guy's fucking rad. Like so basically saw them and saw how crazy, and they were like moshing with their instruments and shit. And I was like in the pit with the bass, or Josh was in there with his bass, like going and moshing and watching Zach and Steve just go bananas. And I was like this band is fucking ridiculous. Like,
Oh yeah,
it just was kind of over my head at the time. I just knew it was crazy. Is all I really knew. And then I started like listening. Yeah, go ahead.
For me, it was like, I mean, I didn't see them live first, but like I said, I grew up in the Denver metal scene, so shortly there, I've seen them play so many times.
Oh, I bet.
But I was like, how is their drummer that fast? Like at this point, I was like, dude, Joey Jordison's the best drummer in the world, man. Like no one. And then I heard John Merriman and was like, huh?
Yeah.
That can't be one person.
And he's just all chill. He's just all like
yeah, dude, just up there in his flip flops, just like
oh my
insane,
God.
dude.
I know.
Totally insane. Yeah, I feel super fortunate to have grown up in that scene with those dudes.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
I remember the first like actual band that I was in that was like out playing shows and stuff like that. Like they invited us to play a bunch of stuff with them all the time, which was really cool. And my drummer and I both did like a little bit of guest stuff on one of the songs on Misled by Certainty. And so that was like
oh fuck yeah,
really big for us because we both really were into Cephalic Carnage. So
yeah. That's so
cool
sick.
to do.
Yeah, they're still one of the, like, if you want to think about, like we talked about Igor earlier, like they were kind of the Igor of death metal for me. They were like combining all these styles, and like there'd be parts where it'd be kind of like trippy Pink Floydy, and then back to like crazy grind, and then like heavy death metal, and then like they were always experimenting and watching them like with their videos and stuff, and they're just always having fun. They're like the funniest dudes too. They're like super comedic. So like you could actually tell that like they had like this comedy in their, and I love smiling. I love like during music. I mean, when I was a kid, like probably the second time I ever, or sorry, probably the first time I ever saw them in California when I was actually had just joined Odious. I was sitting there and we were watching them with All Shall Perish in like some shed, I don't even know, some tiny place. And I remember I was on the side of the stage like watching them, and then all of a sudden I look and I don't see Josh anymore, and I'm like, where the fuck did the bass player go? I was like completely confused, and all of a sudden my back just starts getting pounded, like, and it's just him headbanging his head into my back. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And he just all like drags me into the pit and stuff, like while he's playing. And I'm just like, this fucking band, man. I mean, it had a biggest grin on my face. I'm like, this is the funniest, because I like because death metal was really, speaking of Deicide that I mentioned earlier, Cannibal Corpse, it's all like
very
serious.
Yeah,
it's all cross your arms, make a scowl, and they were just like, fuck it, wackiness. And I was like, I needed that, because I'm a big comedy fan too. I love like I'm just a follow comedy, like I guess artists, comedians. I'm like just a big, like, dude, I do bands,
Stand up is amazing. Like it's a like checking out different comics is a great way to just kind of like live someone else's thought process for a little while, and like those punches come out, the punchlines can come out of nowhere. It's great.
And sometimes they completely become parallel with yours too. You're like, oh my God, that's exactly how I think about that,
Yep.
And that's kind of the connection to comedy that I absolutely love. It's like when it becomes like your everyday life, and it's these thoughts that you have, like and like you kind of make a joke about it, and then they actually make the joke about it. You're like, oh my God,
things that you maybe like you have a little bit of internal dialogue about, but you don't actually voice to people, or something that you might have expressed a little bit, but they take the idea and just like push it all
make
the
it
way
so much
into
better.
fruition.
Yeah. It's like having a riff, like I'm like, dude, I got this riff with this like add 9, just like a riff, and then like and you hear like someone else do it, and you're like, oh, that's a way better idea. What the fuck?
Yeah. Dude, it's really crazy. So like I nowhere near as good as the people that I am in bands with, all right, but I play a bit of guitar and I play bass, and like it's happened a couple times where I'll have an idea and I'll kind of get it out a little bit, and then I'll hear like the melody that I'm trying to do come out somewhere else, and I'm like, oh my God, they did it. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's super exciting. It kind of sucks because then you're like, oh well, like I kind of have to abandon this thing that I'm working on. Otherwise, it's just gonna be ripping off like this thing. But like, it is really satisfying to like hear someone take a little thing and like fully flesh it out and realize it.
So I'm actually interested too. So you said going from like Slipknot to like Cephalic and Origin and stuff like that. Like what was so for me, I remember it was kind of more gradual. I had to like go to the Cannibal, I had to go to the DS, I had to like slowly walk over. Like I didn't have those options available. Really, I had Cephalic, I guess, through my brother and stuff, but I was like more, I guess, because I remember with Slipknot, I remember being on the school bus and showing it to a friend and being like, dude, they're like death rapping. Like I was with that song Spit It Out. I'm like, dude, it's like death metal rapping. Like, what the fuck is going on? And they're just like, whoa, and everyone's like kind of like slowly getting into it and stuff. So it was kind of like through the vocals. I wasn't even, the drums were just fast to me. I didn't even understand blast beats. I didn't know what was going on. What was it that kind of took you from Slipknot to just be open-minded to, were you just because there was all the stuff available? Because how old are you?
I am 34.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm
39.
I kind of hopped into like extreme metal in like 2004, 2005.
Okay.
Right around there. And
that's about me too. Yeah.
I think the thing that like I said, I think the thing that really hooked me at first was the drums. I was just like, how's this even humanly possible? Especially like once I started listening to Origin, I was just like, is this two dudes? Like, what's going on?
The singer plays drums too.
How gnarly would that be if you had like two drummers synced up? Like,
I know. I've always kind of wondered what it would be like if like two dudes that were really sick, like a Naveen K and a Spencer Moore, like took kits and tuned their heads melodically. That they were like
harmoniously.
Exactly. And could do some really sick shit like that. I'm sure someone's done it, but I haven't seen anything like that.
They could do like an Iron Maiden,
something like extreme.
They had them like all like tuned.
It's gotta be more than that. I've seen like gospel drummers and stuff like that will like kind of like trade off and riff off of each other and kind of do it. But like I don't know, it could be really sick to see people do something like that. Like Between the Buried and Me and their last record had a thing that was sort of like similar to that idea, where one of their songs had a bunch of drum solos back to back to back. And like one of them was Blake Richardson, one of them was Naveen. A couple other people that hopped in.
No, Naveen was living here, like kind of down the street from me when he did that. He's like, matter of fact, just going like, oh yeah, I did like a BT Bam thing. like didn't even like fucking like, it was just like, oh, I took a piss, dude.
I ate some lunch today.
I know what Casey's gonna bring up though. Casey, you're gonna say King Crimson, right?
Yeah, and also well, that's the classic example, you know.
But the live, they still did it. Like when I saw him a couple years ago.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you guys know the band Tortoise? You heard Tortoise?
Are they a proggy band?
Kind of, yeah. Like I think they're from Chicago area. Like, I forgot the name of their label. But yeah, basically, I said Thrill Jockey. Is that their? I can't remember which one it is. But yeah, dude, they're awesome. They're like kind of like fusion, crazy, jazzy kind of stuff, but it's like electronic and it's like a little bit jazzy, but not like a lot. I don't know. It's like very interesting music, but they do a lot of cool like like double drummer stuff, and they've done it like for like a long time. It's pretty cool. I've seen them like a few different times, like for like 20 years ago and shit. Yeah.
But Tool does it too, right?
I feel like Jason from Warforged has mentioned them to me, but I don't know if I've ever listened to them.
Yeah, it sounds like Jason Van is going like, dude, you fucking heard of Tortoise, dude? I can see him saying that. I don't know.
You guys ever heard of some Tortoise?
His voice is hard to. He is a natural. I mean, when on his podcast and stuff, I'm like, he's got a natural fucking like DJ voice.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dude, yeah, I love Jason. He's
he's
awesome,
like
dude.
Completely just with just that whole podcast was just like he would just bring like, hey, what do you, like I remember hearing like a voice like that when I was a kid on like the local radio station around here, and I'm just like, dude, you got to keep that going. But you're pulling up some torts. Some
get your tortellinis going.
Okay.
Real Jockey's the label I was talking about. Yeah,
nice.
That's like the main. I think that's the main guy.
So there's two drummers in the band like that are full time.
Oh yeah, they. I mean, every time I've seen them, they've had two drummers. Like not like every song and stuff, but they all switch off and shit.
That's
Yeah.
sick.
They're
You
cool.
just saying this whole conversation came from Origin going like, dude, it sounds like they have two drummers, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, you are like,
talking
dude.
about Tortoise.
I'm all dude, Tortoise.
That was the
And
that was the thing that got me about them. And then
King
I
Gizzard.
kind of started noticing more about like guitar work and stuff. Vocals were what kind of came in last for me. But then I kind of when I started learning like death metal songs, like Origin was kind of sort of where I started. Was like Reciprocal. I remember I would practice that song over and over and over again, and like if I fucked up somewhere, I would like stop and go back to the beginning and do it again.
I have a really funny story about that actually, because Branger was practicing. It was like the room over for me.
Hey, kitty.
That's Birdie, dude. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Yes.
But let me just finish the story. But so Branger was like right in the middle, because this is like I forgot about this completely. But so my room was like, its own deal. Then I had Dylan's room was right across from me, and then Decrepit and Odious practiced in the living room. So it was like Branger. I remember they just like were like, oh shit, there's a new song that Origin released, and it was Reciprocal, and they were just like, they were all sitting like around my computer, just like listening to it, and they were just like, oh, dude, it sounds like our riff, dude. They were like that one that do. Oh, dude, we have that riff, dude. They were like all like pissed. I was just watching them. Whatever, they don't exist anymore, so I could say that. But no, I remember just watching them, just like their reaction to it, just like all like around my computer. I'm just like watching them going like, oh, what? Like. Just, but that song, Jesus, man, that's probably my favorite song by Origin. Like if I want to, I just love hearing that song. I don't know, something about that song that just completely brings me back to a time. It's got like a little turkey getting shot by a machine gun sound.
Yeah, the gobbles.
The gobbles.
That one, like, so Echoes of Decimation is still my favorite.
Yeah. That's up there for sure.
Favorite track definitely tied between Reciprocal and the title track, because the title track for Echoes is just so sick. And I remember when I like first heard it, like I didn't even think about like, oh yeah, their guitar player and their bass player are doing backup vocals. I thought it was all just the one dude.
Yeah.
And so when I learned the song, I fucking drilled it and forced myself to do the whole, like the backup spots and the regular things, just one after another, going and like, whoa, like that stuff's tough.
You just swallowed because you're like, fuck, you're thinking about your voice, the pain you put your voice through to do all that.
I have a I don't know, man. I feel like that influenced a lot of how I write stuff too, because even with how I write a lot of the Inferi stuff, I've noticed that I tend to write really long running patterns. And it's something that's fun and challenging for me. Plus, like I feel like it totally fits like the band that I'm in now. So it just kind of is a wonderful marriage.
I'm sorry if you got to this while I was gone, Stevie, but are you the lyrics writer for the band, or is it?
I write the majority of the lyrics. So Malcolm helps here and there, and but like for example, for Sunless, like I wrote 3 of the songs. Malcolm wrote the majority of one of them, and then I filled in all of the bits and pieces. For Vile, we did something similar where he wrote most of the lyrics for the closing track. I sort of filled in some spots, and then I wrote the lyrics for the rest of the record. And then there were a couple songs where he's like, hey, let's I noticed you don't have anything going on here, let's add something kind of like this. And so he would like, just kind of like sweeten spots over the course of the record, or him and I would go back and forth on some stuff until we got it sounding the way that we wanted it to. But predominantly, I write the majority of it and come up with like the concepts and stuff like that.
The reason why I brought that up is because I've hit that situation many a times writing, where you have so much that you want to write or say, and then you're faced with a finite amount of space and time that you have to fit those words in, so, and you're saying you challenge yourself with these longer running sections and rhythms, and I always attributed my writing to like what I'm actually capable of, once I finally try and put the words are always going to be way more than what actually ends up on the record, at least for me. You end up, trimming the fat until you really fit things exactly the way you want. But to bring it back to like Archspire, that is like, no, we're gonna fit every single thing that we want to say.
Oh
And
yeah,
Tech Nine it.
dude.
Yeah,
Ollie
exactly.
is a freak, and
it makes me feel like a piece of shit when I listen to that guy, just because I love, and again, I had a FOMO moment while I was having my technical difficulties because you guys started in on the hip hop, you started in on the new metal, and you guys weren't able to talk about the hip hop, I'm sure. And I'm like, fuck, he had a hip hop history. I should be in there and fucking talking about it right now, because I love chopping it up and I like lyrics and I like, witty shit and rappers that are spitting real fast, and not all, like, Bone Thugs and Harmony is probably the main reason why
Busy Bone. See, I know my stuff.
yeah.
What up?
So
shout out to Crazy Bone. He's actually in the hospital right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, is another one, another bone?
I don't know the details, but I just heard he's in the hospital right now. So positive vibes to Crazy Bone. But yeah, so like the chopping it up and then I hear this Archspire dude, and I'm like, oh man, there's something that I wish I could do that I would never be able to do. But like, I don't know why it was tying in what we were talking about earlier, but really it's all about you. And so what are some techniques that you use to be able to do as many death metal syllables in one little space with two lungs and your voice, dude? Like,
honestly, like, so it's kind of just all about like the economy of breath, and just sort of having that control over how much air you're allowing to escape, but then also being able to sustain. So like I mean I used to do much more cardio than I do now. I'm actually starting to ramp up on it since we're about to do this headlining tour, and we're going to be playing a much longer set than we've ever played before. So just to make sure that I don't get like winded part of the way through the set, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to switch to stand here and do vocals and not be that entertaining, because like I really enjoy like just fucking going nuts and headbanging like crazy and being all over the stage and stuff like that. So I don't want to have to sacrifice the performance aspect of things. So, just trying to stay on top of cardio stuff. And one thing that I know really helps me is I don't like running, but I love jump roping. So a lot of times when I jump rope, sometimes I'll like have either the set playing in my ear or just like songs that I like in general. And as I'm jump roping, I'll just like speak along with the vocalist. So, it's not the same intensity as like sitting with a mic and like doing the rapping or like doing the death metal vocals or anything like that.
No, you wouldn't want to be doing that while you're jump roping.
Yeah.
I mean, you could try it, but you probably wouldn't
hate it.
You're talking about, stamina and being able to do something for a long period of time. Yeah, you could. I know you're capable of it. If I really tried it, we can jump rope together and maybe get a few, minutes of death metal vocals out before we're just gassed, but I know what you're saying. It's like sustaining it and having the stamina and just still expelling the air to vibrate your vocal cords enough while you're doing a cardio type thing, which would be similar to running around and jumping around on stage.
Plus the thing that the cardio really helps with too is like, I find that like when you're just, especially like practicing vocals with a band feels so much different than practicing on your own. I feel like when you practice on your own, it's so difficult to like get the adrenaline
you feel
going.
like a weirdo.
Yeah. Yeah.
I growling in my car, I never get comfortable with it, but I'm trying because that's the only way I could do it right now.
So I have like a booth at home that my wife actually made for me one day when I was at work in the closet under our stairs, which is it's like the perfect amount of room for me to just like have my monitor in there and like set up my mic and everything, and it's isolated enough that if I want to demo out ideas or track stuff, I can go ahead and do it in there and not have to worry about sounds bleeding in or anything.
Right.
But I found that like one thing that I enjoy about doing like the jump rope thing and using that for like breath control too is while you're doing that, like your body starts pumping out adrenaline. And I feel like your response to like how you throttle your breath is so much different when you're like getting those adrenaline spikes versus when you're just in a room by yourself with like headphones on and doing the thing.
Totally. And you get to because that I think that would be what you're talking about is something that as us vocalists, if not paying attention to that while you're performing live, your adrenaline gets the best of you. You may have a shitty monitor that you can't really hear yourself, and so all that ties into it as well. And so having adrenaline makes you project much, makes you gas out. That's the whole thing. Like, we only have expelling everything out of throughout. Is it really? My mic's fucked again.
I can
No.
Okay, just like every time I look at the chats, it's throwing me off. But yeah, that's what it is. We go out there with the full gas tank and how much we burn off. All those factors are in there, and so doing that, you're preparing yourself for those situations where you may have an adrenaline side as well, and know how to immediately assess that situation a lot faster than you would if you're just dude that's just going to burn out his adrenaline the whole time.
Exactly. It just teaches you how to like stay in control when your brain is like go 150% now, like like it kind of helps you keep the reins.
The crowd, just fucking crowd will just like, no matter how many times you practice to like because back in the decrepit days with me and Casey and stuff, we just went off feel, but we were like, all right, we'll slow it down a little bit. Then we had like the whole running all the drums up there to like play like just like there's a big show we're playing, it's like sold out or something, and we're like oh fuck, like, when it's not like our fucking living room anymore, and now we're having to go play a show, it's now become this thing like, all right, oh shit, what's going on? Oh, this thing's wrong. Oh shit, we got to do this. Oh shit, we have 3 minutes. All right. And then before you know it, I have like basically it feels slow to me, and like when we're playing, like. Oh yeah. And we'd like the next day, because we were like on like Summer Slaughters or something like that, we'd like watch the videos on YouTube and we're like, dude, we're fucking flying. We had no idea on stage that anything was different. We just we were matching the energy of the stress of like getting things together and getting it all like, all right, you guys ready? Like literally like Casey would be like tying up his like last thing and he'd be like, all right, and just go into a song. It was like it was that much like preparation that we had. It was nothing.
It's wild. It's like sometimes when you're on stage too, you kind of have like that out of body experience.
Yeah.
And you
kind of seeking it.
Oh, dude.
For me, that's what I hate when I'm aware of myself on stage. So I try to just kind of like, get myself going a little back and forth and like sort of like trance myself. And I'm just like, I know the set.
Flow state, dude.
Whatever I say between songs is going to be whatever I say between songs. Whoever I pick out from the crowd to start, freaking circle pits or like, like start bouncing up and down and stuff like that is whatever. I'm just going to let everything come off the top. And I try to just like, handle it like Bruce Banner. Like just
you're like
fucking
such in a flow state.
Wake up the Hulk and just try to sit
You're
back
such in a flow state. You just go like, what's up with you guys like microwave socks? I like food.
In the winter, I bet microwave socks would actually be beneficial, dude.
Dude, probably.
You know what I miss, man, about not like being able to jam like in a regular band, like practice, like like weekly kind of thing, like we do.
I know we
This
had it in our living room. Like we were just
Yeah.
like people would show up to our living room, and like maybe a couple other people would show up to hang out, and we just like went to start amps all facing
Yeah.
Casey, and just like it's like a fun hang. It was like I miss that so much.
I miss having like a
The jams are the best, dude.
like a wall, like as a drummer, I just have like a wall of like amps and musicians
Just at
playing
you.
with the amps, just like
Everybody looking at
three
you.
or four people, like whatever, like in the band, and just me, and just like you just like have this like music thing you can just take around and just like it's like you're a unit, and you practice all the time, and you just feel all like like used to it, and
And we look at you for cues too. Like I would so much
like having a
look for
team or
you.
something, like
I would find
It's
my
like, all
place.
right, go
in the
team. Yeah,
song
go
with
team,
you
go.
quicker.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you feel like a Subway sandwich artist sometimes though? Because like we're all like like when you go to like Subway or Chipotle, like you're like sitting there and you're watching them like put the shit in. Like, all right, don't put too much, don't put too little in. You better.
Oh fuck, dude! You put
It's like
jalapenos.
It's
Dude.
I try to like at
Never
when I go to like get
jalapenos, by the way.
one of those places where they're making like a deli's making a sandwich or something. I try not to look because I'm like I feel them like I put myself in their position, so I'm like I wouldn't want people to just watch every move I make. Like oh dude, you didn't put enough meat, dude. What's going? I hear people say that in line. Just go like, can you put a little bit extra chicken in there? I'm just like it's like staring at everything you're doing. Like I'm not staring at Matt, or at the time I wasn't staring at Matt, or I wasn't staring at whoever was playing guitar at the other time. I was staring. We were all looking at you. Like you were you were just like under the microscope, just like
in the fishbowl.
Like was that
Right.
that was never stressful for you? That to me that would be stressful.
Oh
No, I think that we were just vibing, dude.
yeah.
Casey didn't care. He just was catching the vibe, dude.
It was just like when you're that locked in as a band, especially like, I mean, it's cool to like join other bands and people like, and they learn the set and that's all sick and everything. But like when you're in a band, it's like, we've been practicing for like 2 years every Thursday and every Sunday or whatever. Like with Decrepit, it was like a lot more than that. But but
you just got like one, maybe
just,
2 days a week.
Yeah, but you just get like this cool like. It's like this unit, like you just confidently can just play it's like you have this thing to present, like it's like we can just take this and so like the whole idea of like being on stage and in that weird state, like her flow state, like I always kind of thought it was like no matter what the stage is, I'm just there in that unit with my friends. We're just at practice kind of doing our thing, what we're performing, but really like I'm not focused like where the stage ends is kind of like that's like our bubble, and we're just kind of staying in that, and it doesn't really matter how big the crowd is or outside of that. It's like, or at least being like able to play, or like just like focusing on we're jamming, like we're playing in this like space, and if it's huge, then how do we pull that in so we're like still playing together? Like I'm not just playing my parts by myself. And
I don't think it was the smartest way to practice, because like in the grand scheme of things, because like when you get those stages where you can't hear us at all, and we don't have amps like facing you and stuff.
But when you're not using backing tracks or click tracks or anything, you kind of just have to deal with that. Like it's like, if I don't hear you, I don't hear anything.
You're just like, I know the song, I'm just gonna do the song.
You just gotta pulse it out, right?
If you got Dennis, like Dennis, he
just plays it with
he could play it without anybody.
That's sick.
Yeah,
that's one weird thing.
There are dudes, or you know,
vocals,
Stever is also a guy who's like just fucking.
Oh yeah, dude,
keep up, because I'm gonna keep doing my part.
God, I know. Gabe gets it memorized. Like I've talked about it before on the podcast. Going to NAMM with him from Sacramento, and we're just in a band. He's like, I'm gonna play with I think I forget what band he was gonna play with, but he's like, we just had to listen to that the whole drive from Sacramento to LA. And he's all, sorry, dude. Like, I gotta like get this down. Like, I'm totally down. But like at the same time, like when we show up to the venue, I'm like, I fucking hate this band. I don't want to hear this.
Dude,
like,
I don't know if we missed it, and I'm taking like a hard step on that, because I feel like I missed something, and I don't know if you guys talked about it at all. But Stevie, I want to know about your past, dude. Did you guys
we were getting that. So he was into he went to like Slipknot.
I heard Iowa and I heard hip hop, and I was like, it's not.
Actually, this is where we left off. Origin Cephalic Carnage you got introduced to, and that kind of
that's even, I don't even want to know about that. I want to know about before that. I want to know about, because you said something
Dragon
about your
Ball
parents'
Z,
music, but you
Dragon
didn't really
Ball
mention
Z.
your parents' music. So I want to know about your parents' stuff. What was
So
playing in the house?
the stuff that my mom was like really into, she was in her like country phase, so I heard like I know like I don't hate country, but it's just something that I'm like not, I never, if it's on,
Yeah.
cool, whatever, especially if it's older, but like it's
Yeah,
nothing
yeah.
that I
Very similar
gravitate towards.
answer to my
But
me in country too, dude. It's like
I
I can't say I hate it, but
yeah, and I mean like there's some older stuff that I think is like good even, but it's just never a thing that I'm like I'm
how
gonna
old
put
are you,
on
by
some
the way?
George Strait.
34.
I'm 34.
Okay.
And
All right.
so I know like hundreds of 80s and 90s country songs because that's like what my mom was super into.
Mhm.
If I was
Young
hanging,
country.
yeah, if I was hanging out with my dad, he was much
I'm
more
carrying your
into
love
hip
with
hop.
me. Sorry.
Oh, dude, that is like
That's
my
a jam,
mom.
right?
That's
That's
my
a
mom and my
jam.
stepdad's like that's their song. And
Dude,
so
I'm
yeah.
carrying your love with me. Wait. West Virginia down to
Down to
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
That's
Yeah.
where you're at,
Mhm.
motherfucker.
Yep. And then my dad was much more into like hip hop and R&B.
What?
And
Okay, give me a few on the hip hop too. Like what was
uh
going on?
so like I mean the things that he listened to that like really stuck out to me were like Dr. Dre and Eminem and
Oh yeah.
Snoop Dogg and like
So the Chronic 2001.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I remember somehow oh dude, I think I was in Texas, so I was in like 5th grade, and my sister, who was living in Colorado, had bought Eminem's first 2 records, and my mom didn't like them, so she sent them to me so my mom wouldn't throw them away. And so I remember in this package that my mom sent me, there were also those 2 CDs and then Ludacris's Word of Mouth. And those were
All
like
right.
my first like hip hop records were just like Eminem's first 2 records and then Word of Mouth,
Yeah.
which like all 3 of those albums are incredible. Like I think, in my opinion, I think that's Ludacris's best album. Like every song is a banger. I don't skip anything going from front to back of that.
Have you dove a little bit? I don't want to go too hard into it, but have you gone backwards in time and gone to like the 90s, tried to dabble in some mid 90s, early 90s hip hop?
Yeah, I mean like that. I guess that would have been like probably like Tupac and Biggie and stuff like that. Just
Okay.
a
Yeah.
little bit more of just
Wu
kind of like
Tang.
whatever was
Any
on
Wu
the
Tang
radio.
shit?
Actually, no, that was a band or I guess a group. That was a group that I like really didn't dive further into until like I was in like maybe high school.
Uh huh.
Because I sort of had this resurgence with hip hop in high school where I kind of just listened to metal for a while, and then someone showed me Tech Nine, and I was like, huh.
Yep. Got to
What?
pay attention again.
Exactly. So
He's a Chiefs fan.
started listening
What
to
up?
that and kind of just sort of rolled back into that culture and picked up a few things that I had missed along the way. And
Hell yeah.
yeah.
So that's high school. So, but all right, did we talk about when you decided to start playing an instrument?
Briefly. So for me, the thing that got me into vocals was like Slipknot. Really was the catalyst that started everything else. And then I kind of got into heavier bands and was like, how the hell do you do that? And just kind of, would sit in my room listening to Echoes of Decimation and try to like mimic what James Lee was doing.
Right.
As well as I could, anyways.
You and I are very similar, dude, already with the country and the hip hop and
Yeah.
Slipknot being one of the things that got you on the mic and all that shit, dude. It's crazy how things can be so parallel, dude. And now I'm like interested to see where it went past. So when was like the first time you started jamming with people?
The first band that I jammed with was actually with oh man, we never really ended up doing anything, but it was like my sophomore year, or well, no, like my freshman year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
I jammed with these dudes that I went to middle school with, and I remember I would walk like a few miles to this place where they would practice, and we kind of just like shittily did the thing. And then sophomore
Yeah.
year, there was another group of dudes That
What was the
kind
name of that first group? Did you have a name?
Yeah. The very first one ever was called Dark Monolith. It was
Hell yeah, dude. Mine was Flatline, dude.
Flatline. Hell yeah. And then the second one, we stole our name from a Morbid Angel song, and we called ourselves Desolate Ways.
Nice.
And
That's actually a good band name.
I ended up playing one show with those dudes, or part of a show with those dudes. And that was kind of it. It sort of fell apart. And then I joined the first band that I was in that actually started playing shows and doing
Where it
shit,
got
which
serious,
was
yeah.
called Calculating Genocide. And first time I actually recorded music with a band, it was still when I was in high school. I think I was like 16 or 17 when I joined. And we recorded just a little self-titled 4-song EP. And based off that and all the other stuff that we had written for the record that we were working on, we just started playing a bunch of shows, got familiar with being on stage, which was a bit of a challenge because I was like painfully shy, like super, super shy. But you know, that kind of forced me to come out of my shell a little bit.
Right.
Like I literally don't remember the first several shows that we played. Like I would get on stage and then I feel like I would just kind of black out, and I would come to later in the night and be like, how was it? They're like, oh, you guys were really sick. I was like, okay, cool.
And you guys had already recorded before those?
No, we played a couple. We played like a couple song or a couple smaller shows and stuff like that, and then we.
So did you get out of
an EP.
that, like that stage of stage fright and blacking out the set and then record, or did you already have the demo?
We didn't have the demo, so the first couple things that we played. We kind of just like did. They had like a demo that they had done that was just an instrumental from before I had joined the band. And that's kind of something that they would shop as a way for us to like try to hop on shows. But then, you know, at that point too, it was all on MySpace, so we were just kind of like trying to like network with people that way and hop on things. And played a couple shows, and then we recorded 2 songs. And then 2 more later on, and released it as just like a 4-song demo, which was really cool. And like, honestly, like, I don't know, even looking back on it, the songs are pretty freaking wild, especially considering that we were all like 16 and 17 when we did it.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question. Was how cool did you feel after having that recording, dude?
Oh, dude, I was so hyped.
If I look back on my shit, I'm like, yeah, that shit. You know, it's not really that good, but I still like enjoyed the process. It's good enough sounding. I don't have a copy of it anymore, but I remember it being like a good sounding demo, and you're like, oh, dude, we put it together, you know? And then you have this nostalgia frozen in time right there. I wish I had the tape. I could hit my old drummer up, and I guarantee he has it, but I'm kind of scared to listen to it now.
Oh, dude, I feel like that's where I kind of got lucky, is like our recordings, like they don't sound spectacular, but they're like clear enough that you can hear everything. And I don't know, dude. I feel like I kind of just got really lucky with the dudes that I fell into. And I even remember like my buddy Chris, who was the drummer of that band, him and I had electronics class together. And I had watched them play at this like Battle of the Bands thing at just like a small local place. And I knew that their vocalist quit. There's another dude that we were in high school with left the band. And I remember approaching Chris one day and being like, hey, dude, like, I heard that you guys need a vocalist. This is something I've been like working on. I'd like to try out for your band. And he was kind of just like, nah, dude, I don't think you really got what we're looking for. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I had math with the guitar player TJ, and so I kind of brought it up to TJ, and he's like, yeah, dude, let me send you some stuff on Power Tab, and you can like, you know, like try to write some stuff over it, and just come to practice one day. And that's what I did, and they liked what I had written well enough that like Chris was just like, damn, dude, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have been so quick
to jump to it.
like,
yeah.
And then we all kind of started working together, and Chris and TJ and Jake our original bass player, and my brother are like still some of my best friends, like to this day.
That's what's up, dude.
Yeah.
That's really what it's all about is making those connections and experiencing those things together. And yeah, I was thinking like a successful live set, no matter who's watching you, at that age, and then, successfully recording something. Those are the two or three key components, knowing that you can like vibe with people and get that jam, flow state type thing, however close you can get to it at a young age with other humans. You at least taste it in that jam space, whether it be your drummer's garage, at his parents' house or whatever.
It was from his garage, and then we moved to my basement after a while. That was like
So that's what I'm saying. So you those three things right there: experiencing the moment together in whatever space that is, going and duplicating it in front of 1, 2, 10 people, wherever, local fucking high school talent show, in front of the skate shop, all that kind of shit. And then going and trying to like record something, and then you get that and you take that home and you're like, all right, I did all three of those things. I think that if you do all of that at a certain age, you're not going to stop for a while, know?
Yeah, it definitely takes root and sort of becomes a very important part of who you are.
Right.
Real quick, love you too, Curtis. Good night, pal. But yeah, I think that I feel like, especially with starting like younger like that, it definitely helped shape a lot of who I am. And honestly, like growing over the years, like I kind of have most of what I have today from making music. Like the extended family that I have, I got from being in a band. I met my wife touring with a band. Now we have a wonderful little girl. I've had an amazing creative outlet that's helped me just like sort of learn a lot about people, learn a lot about music, learn a lot about business, a number of different things, like all just from just kind of starting this thing and just seeing what happens with it over the years.
Totally, dude. So how long did that group stay together? Was it through high school?
So yeah, it was like 2007 until about 2010. We sort of fell apart in this spot where we were like recording a record, which sucks because we had made some really cool like contacts, and we're working on recording like a 3-song a second demo that was pretty much just going to be for shopping to labels, but a good buddy of ours was recording some stuff and was going to have it like mixed and mastered by Dave Otero for us, and then we were going to start shopping it around to try to like get on a label and get some stuff rolling, because that was at the time, that was like we were just like, okay, I guess that's the process, that's what you do. But we kind of at that point were diverging and all doing different things with our lives. So that project kind of ended up fizzling out. Oh yeah, dude, Otero is phenomenal. He is so sick. But yeah, after that, I ended up joining this band called Enemy Rain, where I was filling the colossal shoes of Sherwood Weber.
He's been asking Enemy Rain questions for a while, so I had to.
I didn't play Neurotic Death Fest with them. That was actually right around the time that oh man, I know they did it twice. I want to. First time was when Sherwood was in the band, and I think the second time was right after I had left. So I did one record with them. Came out in 2011. I want to say it was either 11 or 12, maybe, called Between Hell and Oblivion. And yeah, I did jam with them at that warehouse space. And yeah, wonderful dudes, really cool. Played several shows with them. The last one that I played with them though was probably the worst accident I've ever had seen someone have on stage. So we were playing this show at Summit Music Hall, and big festival, really sick crowd, and we're like, sick. We're gonna play some new songs from the new record. We'd played one of them live before. That was it. And so we were playing one of my favorites. We were starting the set with it, and I want to say like 2 minutes into it, our guitar player Nick goes to do the whole like stomp thing, right? There was a puddle of beer on the stage. And at this time on stage left at Summit, there was no railing. So you could literally walk off the stage, which was probably like 5, 6 feet high.
Yep. I played it a couple times. Yeah.
And so he hit the thing, slipped, tumbled off the stage, off the soundboard, hit the sound dude, rolled on the ground. And we're all just kind of standing there like, oh no.
Oh shit.
All right, Nick, you're a tough dude. Get up, get up. And he's like clutching his knee. Well, not too long after that, paramedics come. They cut up his pant leg, and his kneecap is literally twisted onto the far left side of his leg. And he had to have a few different surgeries to get that corrected. And
dude, I mean,
for a very
I've
long
thought
time.
about kneecap shit, and it almost makes me cringe harder than broken bones, dude. I don't know, like to see my kneecap on the side of my leg, I probably might puke on somebody, you know?
I think that's the very first time in my life that I had seen like an actual injury that made me like queasy,
nauseous.
Like I saw it and was like, I need to sit down for a second.
Yeah, dude. I would be the same way, dude. That's crazy. Yep. That's almost cartoonish too, to just slip off of the side of the stage. Just
yeah, dude, that freaking little puddle might as well have been a banana peel. So, yeah, and then while I was doing stuff for Enemy Rain, I was filling in for Veil of Noth, just for some shows and stuff. I did my very first tour with Veil in 2012. We did a tour with Abiotic, this band called After the Spire, and then Abiotic and Enfold Darkness were like co-headlining.
Oh, I think I saw you. That's a show I first saw you.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So that was really sick, because that was my first time really playing outside of like the Colorado, New Mexico, Nevada area, you know, just like getting out of that little region and actually hitting like the majority of the US on a tour, which was really cool. I did that tour with Veil. We did another tour with Gorod, and then the following year we did another tour where it was just us and Vital Remains. And then shortly,
sick.
Yeah, dude, it was a pretty good string of things
right.
that I was doing with them. During the tail end of that, Vance and I both joined another Colorado band called Dissonance in Design, and we released a record called Sentient, which came out, I want to say in like 2013, or maybe it was 2014. It might have been 14. Yeah, that sounds about right. And that band was much more of like a progressive, like definitely more on the proggy side. And from there, kind of continued to move on.
So before you move on, I want to bring it back to the roots again, dude. I want to know about your writing. I want to know about what kind of creative stuff outside of being a vocalist, you know, was it movies, all that kind of stuff? Like when did writing start for you, and when did you decide to start writing poetry? Because that's really where I think it all starts if you're going to be a lyricist, right? Is poetry.
Yeah. So for me, like, being an author is like the first thing that I can ever remember wanting to be as a kid.
Okay.
And so that was kind of like my primary goal when I was a kid. I would write stories all the time and stuff.
So you're a reader, obviously, because somebody who wants to be an author is somebody who's reading other authors.
Yep. Like I said, when I was younger, I was like very painfully shy. And so I would end up getting grounded a lot, and books were like the only thing that would never ever be taken away.
Yeah.
And when I lived in Colorado, I lived super close to a public library. It was like less than a mile away from my house, so I had access and permission to just like
Mm-hmm.
get into it as much as possible. So a lot
Right.
of it was me being a very voracious reader when I was younger too, and just kind of like figuring out how to put my thoughts to paper. And then I found that writing lyrics is kind of its own unique challenge in terms of writing, because if you're just writing a story or a novel or anything like that, like it's completely free form. You have as much
Yep.
time and space to develop anything that
Mm-hmm.
you want. But when you're doing it with music, you know, like you mentioned earlier, like sometimes you really have to like trim the fat, because
Right.
you're like, cool, I have 5 minutes to tell this
You have to do
story.
it twice, really, because I was just gonna chime in because I know that this is the way that you're talking. I'm sure that it kind of starts a similar way with you, where you start with an idea and then you expand on it, and we just kind of have a diarrhea of thoughts that we put out on paper, and then we leave it, and then we come back to it, and then we read it again, and then you start to say, okay, here are the things that I want to, pull from this to make lyrics, and then you do your first draft of lyrics, of ideas out of that giant thing that you had, and you whittle it down to this other thing, and then it's okay, now we have to really put this to music, so it ends up being another fat cutting situation to make the final product, which is okay, because as long as you never stray from the original idea that you fell in love with, then you did it, if it's
Yeah.
still at the end,
Yeah. So a lot of my process now, that I've kind of like worked at over the years, is I usually don't write anything anymore until I have the music. Um, Occasionally, like if I think of something that I think is cool, like I have notebooks that I'll like kind of like put down just like vague ideas, or um, strings of like words or cadences in which I want to like where I want to have like rhyme placements and stuff like that, with like interior and exterior rhyming schemes.
Okay.
But now I'm at the point now where I like to just like get the skeleton of a track and then sort of sit down and be like, all right, cool, what sort of patterns do I want to put over this? And then like after I have patterns for a section dialed in, then I'm like, all right, sick. I have a bar that's 6 syllables, and then a bar that's 13 syllables, and then a bar that's 6 more syllables. And I'll go through and sort of frame what I want to happen story
Oh,
wise.
so
And then I'm like, cool, now how do I express this portion of the story using X amount of syllables? And I'll like go through and like put stuff out like that, which is kind of strange and
it's
can be
not
a bit
strange.
time-consuming.
It's definitely a way I've worked on. Actually, I had to do that with the Servile Insurrection, because there was songs that were, written, and I had to fit a story into the syllables because they wanted those patterns specifically.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, you mean
but
peak
so
severed savior?
was that?
I said, oh, you mean peak severed savior?
Hell yeah, brother. Thanks.
That record
But yeah.
rocks.
He's like,
Sick,
but
dude.
yeah. He's like, but yeah.
No, but what I wanted to say is that is a different approach to what I was talking about. So I want to know, is there a part of you, the author you, that has something aside from lyrics? Do you have a note section in your phone that is just for random ideas, and then if those ideas become something bigger, you're not necessarily thinking about music, but you just gotta write? Do you do anything like that, or is it always specifically, if I'm going to write, it's going to be lyrics to music and that's it?
So I have like a few notebooks that I kind of like keep just track of ideas like that. If I'm at
Mm-hmm.
work or something and something comes to me, or like out and about, I text myself. The texts to
Mm-hmm.
me from me are all just like potential song titles. lyric ideas. Hey, look
Yes.
into this subject so that you can like
Yes.
get inspiration for something.
Okay.
You know, like
All right.
stuff like
Because
that.
I have the
And
same thing. I just wanted to see if you were in there too, dude.
oh yeah,
Like,
absolutely. Because I
or just like it'll be like a word that I think is sick, and I just have to write the whole. I look it up, give the definition, so I just know that it's like right there,
Yeah.
you know. And then I have my own words that I've made up myself too.
Yeah, no, I 100%
And
do that.
define those words.
It's a good process. Plus, like one thing that I think that everybody, like people that make music and people that don't, can definitely relate to is like occasionally you'll have that idea and you're like, oh my God, that's fucking badass. I'll totally remember this. And then you fall asleep and you wake up the next day and it's gone. You have no
That's the mistake
semblance
that we've
of
all
whatever.
had enough of those to where it's like it doesn't matter, dude.
Yeah.
Even if
Just
the
write it down.
idea comes to you right before you fall asleep, you have enough wherewithal to burst yourself up and just grab your phone or grab a pen and a paper and get it written down in a way that when you go back to read it, it'll conjure up those same feelings that you were having when the idea originally came.
Yep.
And then if you can successfully do that, which is not that hard, guys, don't trust your brain. I've trusted my brain so much, and it is just fucked me so hard. So you got to write it down and then come back to it later. That's what it's all about. It doesn't matter if you even I've been in the conversation with people and I feel like a dick because I'm just like, can you stop talking real quick? Because I have to actually write this down in my phone. And it'd probably be some stupid idea that doesn't even really go anywhere, but it's something that's in my brain that I have to get out, and then it's there, and then I'm like, okay, now I feel better. I can just leave that for a future time, and if it doesn't become anything, then it doesn't, but it may become something awesome.
Yeah. And also, like, kind of just to piggyback on that idea too, sometimes when you have those things that like strike, it's like you can't pay attention to anything else because you have this tab open in the back of your head that's like, don't forget this, don't forget this, don't forget this, don't forget this. Wait, what conversation just happened? What did I just agree to? Who just said what?
And I have to act like I've been paying attention the whole time, you know? Yeah. No, for sure, dude. It's just don't trust trust yourself to write it down, but don't trust yourself to remember it.
Yeah. No, I mean that's one of going off this comment here. Yeah, George Strait said it, dude. Write this down. Take a little look.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, but
Sick callback, Guttural Reef.
I don't know, man. I probably spend too much time writing lyrics just because, like, one thing that I really enjoy and challenge myself to do is like I want whatever lyrics I write to stand just as well on their own as they do with the music. So it's something that if somebody experiences this without the media along with it, it's like still cool or still conveys a certain idea or is thought provoking or something. And I totally get that, like, you know, being a death metal vocalist, a large amount of what it is that I do is going to seem unintelligible or like go over people's heads because it either comes at a speed or in a tonality that is like not super easy to get. But
it's a common thing, and I'm not trying to bring it back to me. I just want to say it's a common thing that I feel because that's how we project our poetry and our art is through a voice that most people can't understand what we're saying. And there's so many times during the process of making a record, writing a song where I'm like, why am I even trying to make these lyrics be so sick and so perfect to me poetically? And I'm like, dude, if this was delivered in other fashions, like it might be like a sick rhyme on a hip-hop song or something. And I'm like, dude, look at how I fucking rhymed and intertwined all these syllables, you know, and it's all in my head. And then I deliver it in this, you know, it's like, what are we doing here, guys? You know? So that thing in the back of my mind that's telling me, why am I doing this? Then it's like, okay, well, let's try and form your voice to be as understandable as you possibly can with still sounding brutal. And that's how I've been in the odious shit, in the severed shit. Enunciation is so important, and I could probably do it more brutal and guttural, but I like that mid-range because I can actually like say things, and I know at least that I said it correctly with
Anthony. No. So Anthony is more enunciation over pronunciation.
Yeah, there's some mispronunciations and a few. It's more mispronunciations in my regular voice, actually.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. But no, that actually, that, that's why, with Carnivorous and stuff, when we were first playing with you guys, before we even asked you to be in the band, I was like, Anthony, I can hear everything he's saying. That's like a really big point for us, because I always get brought back to I love Levi Disgorge, old Disgorge singer, but when they put out, I forget the album after Consume,
Parallels.
I was like, dude, I loved it. I was like, it's my favorite Disgorge to this. I mean, at that time, I was like, when it just came out and we were playing shows with him, I was like, it's so sick. And he's like, he came up to me, he's like, cool, man. So you're into the lyrics? Did you read it, or did you understand all the lyrics? And I'm like, no. Like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? I remember I was a kid at the time, we were like brand new, like starting to play shows and stuff, and I'm like 22 or 21, and so at the time I'm kind of like, yeah, it's sick. But then I like went back and listened, because the lyrics were the last thing I was listening to in that album, and I was like, cause I was just trying to make it work how the guitar works with the drums in that band. This doesn't make sense
in death
to me.
metal, what it is, and Stevie probably knows this.
It's not a normal death metal thing, though. It's like,
no, I'm saying like it's percussion. Like, to most people who listen to death metal, it's just another percussion instrument.
Yep. But if you get lyrics out of it too, there's like, touring with back when Whitechapel was first, the second or third album to come out, we like went on tour with them, and at the time it was like us, Suffocation, Psychroptic, Whitechapel, and Veil of Maya, I want to say. But like going out with them, and we were just kind of all butthurt because Whitechapel was so on the up, and we were like just death metal, we were like the fillers before Whitechapel, and then so I was like, on principle, fuck this band. And then like, I was kind of like crossing my arms, like, fuck this band. And then like after a few shows, I'm like, I fucking love these guys. And like, and like they're really nice dudes. And like, and then I got way into them, and I was like, and we were talking about like fast lyrics and stuff, and fast vocals and stuff. Phil, like on the second or third album, he has this one part where it's just like, I would literally make them, like when they would come into town and play, I'm like, we gotta play this. Like, I forget what song it was on. New Era of Corruption, and I was like, you got to play the song, and they'd be like, this one's for Joel, and they have to do the whole like I was like, you can't do that live. He's like, I'll do it right now, dude, fuck you. It's like, yeah. But that's when I was kind of like more understanding like the talent of where death metal vocals can go. Before I was kind of just like, it's just kind of like an accoutrement on top of the music. It's not like, it's not the most important.
But it was
part.
So much more for us, because we're writers, and we're like, we are reading lyrics. I remember getting super fucking baked and just listening to Agoraphobic Nosebleed alters States of America straight through 99 tracks of 4 second to 1 minute song lengths of just grind, and just reading the whole thing, and getting their whole like their stance on life through one sitting. Yeah. And same thing with like Cephalic, like reading Lenzig's lyrics would be like this super psychedelic experience in its own way, dude, because that dude is touching. He literally was the one who's told me, not through his music, he was telling me, fuck gore still shows up in there, but I'm saying like, fuck all that gore shit, dude. Like, get weird.
Yeah.
Like, get out there, dude. Like, expand and talk about things that you're not seeing other people talk about. And then it becomes an ego thing and all that. Like, I'm gonna be the guy that talks about weed, but that was already Lenzig's shit, you know? So it's like,
Yeah.
it doesn't, everybody does everything, but I'm just saying, like,
Honestly,
find
dude,
at least your connection to it is something fresh. And that's where it starts, is just with us. And as the lyricist, it's just one person. It just starts up here. And so you fall in love with it enough to where it leaves your hand onto some paper. And then the idea is now in this reality. And are we going to expand it? And how are you going to expand it? And
honestly,
let it represent as much as what it was when it first came out of you, dude.
for me, I still to this day kind of feel like the best person to, in my opinion, is like Trevor Smith.
Yeah.
Like,
All right.
not only did he have like awesome cadence, he could create hooks. He told really memorable stories from all over, you know. And then one thing that so recently I've been like on like just like binging a bunch of Dahlia again. Like the other day I listened to literally their entire catalog, like front to back.
Oh, yeah.
When I was at work, and like a few things that stick out. Like one, like I feel like lyrics are at the story is at the forefront of everything that he's doing. You know, like he's serving the song, like through cadence. He's creating hooks. He's telling a story that gets you immersed in what's going on.
Use the full package, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, like one thing that he did incredibly well too is just like having dynamic diction and choosing words to put more emphasis on and stuff, which is something that I kind of feel like gets lost nowadays. Like I feel like a lot of dudes are just like, this is the lowest guttural that I've got, and then this is the highest thing that I've got.
Yeah.
And you know, like they'll do some stuff in between, but it's like choosing. That's like one of the things I guess that you can really pick up on in hip hop is I guess in a very easily digestible way is like, where do you put your emphasis? You know, like it's a thing that not only builds the story, but it also builds the vocal melody and the cadence. And it's one of those things that just
I'm gonna
like
go into
sticks
it
with you.
the sleep token. Like I think that's what they did so well with like why they're blowing up so big. I'm like the cadence when they decide to do their hip hop parts, it's perfectly still a little part of it, but it's like it's not bullshit, and it's also like kind of a new flair a little bit like on some of the stuff they're doing. And but I feel like the vocals, I'm just like, Jesus, man. I mean, it's obviously a lot of clean singing, but
Yeah.
the cadence is kind of like it's also a lot of, you know, pop bands do a lot of it, but also like he'll go to a completely different realm and kind of like bring it to a unique creative side of things. And I think that's why that band, I mean, the drummer and the singer, I think that's why it's so big. It's like it just works once that cadence is so like huge in the songs, becoming like a memorable thing that you're gonna think about. Like think about Death Mask Divine when you're talking about, you know, Black Dahlia and stuff. Like we got to tour with them on that Nocturnal album. It was a blur for me, but that album, every time I listen to it, I start like get like emotional when I hear that album. But
that's
like,
one of the few records that I literally remember where I was and what I was doing the first time I heard that album. Like,
damn, that's so sick.
That's one of those very, very few ones that like,
yeah.
It's, you know, I can immediately go straight back to where I was. And
I remember their first one was the same thing for me. The first one was their first release on Hollowed. I remember listening. I had heard a clip of it or something, and then like I was going to go see Cannibal Corpse's, you know, maybe right out of high school, and they were playing it at Slim's in San Francisco, just like in between bands, and I was like, oh, this is that band, and we listened to it, and like me and Carrie, my best friend, were like oh, because we were on the At the Gates at the time, we're like At the Gates, The Haunted, and stuff like that. So we heard this, and we're like, all right, so this band's like coming in, and we were like looking at them at the time because we're like still in the metal, you know, like early, like they look like a core band though, so we can't like fully commit to this, you know? Like it's like we can't go down that road, dude. We can't, you know. Even though I covered Poison the Well in my high school Battle of the Bands with Derek from Faceless and stuff.
Oh hell yeah! So I actually I found the Black Dahlia, like they were playing at the first like actual metal show that I went to.
Oh damn!
And it was Sounds of the Underground in
oh shit!
I want to say 2006. So the lineup they had like
that's
it was
a callback. Do they still do those Sounds of the
no,
Underground?
I think
they used to put out comps like double CD comps that were Sound of the Underground comps.
It's probably over a decade away.
I think that it ended in 2007 or 2008. I want to say. But the one that I went to, it like fucking totally stacked lineup, like Black Dahlia, Through the Eyes of the Dead, Cannibal Corpse, Guar, In Flames, As I Lay Dying, Behemoth. Like it was absolutely insane. And you know, like Dahlia had just put out Miasma, and so that's what they were touring on. Cannibal Corpse had just dropped Kill. Behemoth was touring on oh man, what's Conquer All? No, the
Conquering the Throne.
No.
It's the one that Conquer All is on, and Sculpting the Throne of Seth. Demigod. They were touring on Demigod.
Okay.
You know, In Flames was touring on Come Clarity. I don't remember what the As I Lay Dying record was. Trivium had just dropped Ascendancy, and they were playing. But yeah, it was just like all these like
that was a hot little spot in metal history, right?
What's
there.
cool about that?
That was my first metal show, and
it's like that kind of they were baroque at the time too. They weren't like putting on
shout out Igor.
They weren't putting on you know, all the light shows and stuff. They were just like a band that was playing. You know, it wasn't like the fucking lights go down and then like one light comes in the middle. It was just like a straight performance. You know, seeing a band before they blew up.
So I mean, I love shows with production. Like I've seen Muse a couple times, and they're like one of my favorite bands.
I need to see them. I know my buddy went to go see them, and he's not into metal, but like he always tries to like kind of like talk metal with me a little bit, and he's like, dude, the Muse was so like it was the most insane show I've ever seen. And I was like, all right, dude, well, I'm sure Metallica's cool too, dude, whatever. And then I went on YouTube because I love I forget the album by the Muse, but I watched a clip came up on like a reel or something, and I was like, holy fuck, this band's like one of the biggest production based bands out there.
Yep. I saw them I've seen them twice. The first time was at the Pepsi Center, the second time was at Red Rocks.
Oh damn. Sick.
Dude, holy shit. It was insane.
Cool. I can't wait to see that. The next time they come around, I'm for sure seeing them.
They're
I'm gonna get hippy dippy again, bring it back to like thoughts and stuff, dude. Do you guys believe in the Muse? So the Muse
I definitely do. I'm not one of those dudes that sits down and writes tons. Like I'm a grinder. Like when I show up, I listen to the parts. I try to speak my piece for it, and I very much believe in the idea of the Muse and like
So is it like
unified field, the collective consciousness?
Okay.
Yeah, like the river of ideas that you
I don't.
Honestly, dude.
Of course you don't. You fucking Dalai Lama fucking grower upper.
So for me, I feel like when I sit down to write stuff, it's kind of like the entire time I feel like I'm just sort of translating something that someone else is telling me. And the best that I can translate it is by breaking it down into syllables and then like being like, okay, cool. This is like, you know, this is the interior rhyme and it's going to flow off of these things. And then over time, it sort of develops itself. But like a lot of times when Malcolm sends me music or Spencer or Sanjay or anybody or Nick, I'm sitting there and I just listen. And it's like someone is telling me like, hey, your pattern goes like da 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 da. Like I don't just consciously make the decision to do it. Like it just tells me this is what I am.
Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
I don't like it's not a thing that I like talk about a whole lot, but like that's totally my process. Is I sit there and I listen to it until it tells me what it wants, and then I do my best to try to give it what it tells me it wants.
You're probably going off the evidence. I mean, you're the like back of your brain, what you've heard your whole life, evidence of what you've heard and what you like.
Don't try and be.
I know you want to be all spiritual and stuff. It's not all fucking
just get
out of smoke
real quick
brain.
because let us vibe on this.
I haven't finished my thought. So
All
like
right,
I
fine.
think it's like the evidence. It's like you hearing something, because there's been times where I've written riffs. I'm like, oh, this is coming through me right now. I'm like, oh, because I heard it 3 weeks ago, and it was,
Mhm.
and I'm making it a little different. I think it's kind of like,
But I
also
mean,
too, it's you've built skills of putting vocals to music, so it's a skill based thing. It's not. I don't think it's a cloud. I mean, it could be. I'm not
so
saying it's not. I'm not trying
so
to be like shit on it. Yeah,
here's
but I'm.
one way to kind of look at it, or at least like the way that I look at it is like I don't necessarily think that it's like a specific like quote unquote like entity that tells you what to do. But I do
Mhm.
think that when you put enough time and effort into something, especially if it's into growing and understanding a certain part of your brain,
Mhm.
and it's a skill set that sort of presents itself to you as you develop it more, it's kind of like you're creating your own sort of character. So it's like you're writing the code for a story that gives you feedback.
Yeah,
So that
it's like
it's sort of like
your
it's
AI
like
fucking.
it's like creative chat GPT that doesn't
Yeah,
fucking
yeah, yeah.
lie to you and give you wrong
Totally,
information.
totally. Yeah. You're just
Like
adding code to it. You're adding like more variables to it. You're just going like, all right, this is where it could go
yeah,
in the grand scheme of the code.
you're feeding it,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
growing, and then it's feeding you based off of what it's eaten, which is why, like, if I ever come up with periods of time where I'm like, dude, I'm really struggling to write something or to get anything out, usually what I'll do in that point is I'll kind of drift a little bit away from music, and I'll try to read more and listen to more audiobooks and watch
Mhm.
movies, or my one thing that's really cool is like my wife is really really into art, and
Mhm.
so I've been lucky enough that she has invited me along to go to a few different like exhibits with her, and
Mhm.
she shows me all this really cool stuff from the Renaissance and like different paintings and artists that she really enjoys, and that's kind of been like another source is like I feel like if you are kind of exhausted by that uh, by like music as your source of inspiration.
Specific
Just like,
avenue of
yeah,
art, you
yeah,
need to
exactly.
find your inspiration in other avenues.
Yeah, dive
And
into
it
something
may
else
not
because
even be art. You might be inspired by something totally
Yeah.
random that,
yeah,
you know?
Well, it's like,
usually a big thing for me is like I'll just hear a specific word,
mhm.
and that specific word will just kind of like set something off in my
You're
brain,
like,
and all of a
word,
sudden I'm like, oh,
turd.
cool, now I and like,
I'm just kidding. Word, turd, bird. No,
yeah,
No.
no, I know what you're saying though, but it's actually an interesting kind of piggyback on that is listening to that interview with Tosin and Devin and John Petrucci. They asked Devin Townsend how he like writes, and he puts on, this is literally what he does, and it brings him to a place of like clarity, and he understands. He just puts on a YouTube video of a train driving through like the Arctic. That's 10-hour video, and he just puts it on, and he drinks coffee, and then he like writes when he gets comfortable. He starts writing when that like gets him comfortable, and then he's like, all right, I'm here, and just
damn,
writes.
dude.
I know, I'm just like,
Devin
holy.
Townsend straight up on the Polar Express.
I know, right? I think it's polar, but I
By the
know
way,
it has
Yeah,
something to do with a
coming
train
around the
video
corner.
for like
yeah.
10 out, like it's a 10-hour video of a train just driving through different landscapes, I think, and he just kind of like, it's it's his brain. He's trying to like jog his brain and get it to a place where he's written music with it in the background, and now he's like, oh,
Mhm.
like catches the state of it, the vibe of it, is like
Mhm,
comfortable. It's
mhm.
like, all right, we're exploring new things. Oh, look at that, just looking at landscapes, and he's like, oh, okay, I have an idea. It's like, there's
Half
so many
the
creative ways to like trigger your brain to write. It's
Absolutely.
insane.
half what you need is just showing up.
Mhm.
So you find your ritual. It if you've done it, if you've writ or sit down and done anything enough times, you realize that there's certain things that it may be even superstitious in a way, like having your lucky fucking guitar pick sitting right here pointing straight at you.
Yeah.
I write better because I know that point's pointing at me, off in the corner over there. Just little things like gotta have my thing set up. I mean, I learned this from like Stephen Pressfield. He wrote the
The War
the
of
War
Art.
of Art, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and just showing up, being open, and having, even if you need your little superstition things just to be there to give you your support, it is actually like a way to open yourself up to the muse or the unified field. Your antenna is fully calibrated, or your satellite dish is aimed perfectly, or as perfectly as you can, to accept whatever kind of information that you can get from wherever it may be coming from, and if you just open yourself up to it, it ends up working more times than you think it wouldn't.
I definitely agree with that. I'll be right back. Just one second.
Go for it, dude.
Sure. Go for it.
Me and Joel will just freak out on Igor for a second.
We just have like our immediate Igor, like, all right, dude. So Igor,
that dude is definitely tapped into the unified field, dude.
I'm definitely stoked. I went. I definitely, the driving part, I was like, fuck, I wanted to be on like 4 more beers.
Yeah.
But but still, no. But I still had been watching. So I kind of gave up the mystery part of it and like had to watch a couple live videos before the show. So I was kind of like already knew what it was going to look like and stuff like that. So I had that, but just the visual assault was the number one thing of how. I mean, the cool thing I'm about Igor that blows my mind. It's so cool is they run everything through computers, so everything's through a click, obviously, but the vocals are on a click too, and the vocals, they'll have the vocal like those cut out things. It'll be like completely. It's all through probably Ableton or something like that.
The classic little fucking.
Yeah, it's already pre-programmed. It's already on there for all the vocalists, and it just works so perfect. And I was like, damn, I've seen bands use that shit to like change effects on guitars, but like to have those effects on vocals too, and guitars, everything. It's like everything's completely
and the lighting, like how their lights were set up, dude. Like how many times was the lighting just so perfect for the atmosphere that the music was giving to that room,
Totally.
If anybody who's listening to this, if you experienced it, I'm so happy for you. If you have a chance to, all the shows are getting like sold out. Even LA just sold out today. It wasn't sold out earlier today. It's sold out now. And so people are catching on, dude. And it's something that, I mean, obviously with the response that they're getting on this tour, they're definitely going to be coming back to the United States, dude, because I've even like listened or read their posts and stuff. And you could just tell that the reception that they're getting from this tour is very, very extreme in the positive way. And so I can't wait for them to come back. We're jumping on tickets again, dude. We're going to go do this every time.
Well, we jumped on tickets 3 years ago, and they got, it was like right before the pandemic, we got Igor tickets, and it was just like, oh, obviously canceled. And then they're like, we're going to come back in 2021, canceled, and then canceled. And then it's like, we're like, oh, but they're still good though. They're still good. Like
how
3 years
sick
later.
Is that though? Because you all that anticipation, and you could have it could have fallen flat for somebody who was waiting for that long, but it's
one of those things. It's like one of those things I did today. It's like when you sleep on something like a piece of music or something that inspired you when you were younger, and you're like, all right, I'm burnt out on it, and then you come back to it like 2 years, 3 years later. Like I did that today. I mean, I did that for a band for like 7 years, 8, 10, 12 years later. I did a Slayer thing today. I was like, I watched a whole live Slayer video, like an old one that's filmed by NFL Films. It's like one of the sickest live videos I've ever seen. I always worshipped it as a kid, and I was like doing work today. I had one of my screens. I was like working on. I'm just gonna throw it like a high def, so it looks good video on my screen over here, and I was just fucking just like, oh fuck, dude. So like, this was my shit when I was a kid. This was it. This was like the crossover of like what you talk about, jumping into like Slipknot or going Slipknot to Origin, and like, so I had to go like Slipknot, then I had to go Sepultura, then I go Slayer, then I go Pantera, Slayer, and then Deicide, and then it went on to like other things. But like I had to go through like a couple other like hoops. But I remember watching that today, and I was like, this is I love this, but like
I'll say that Iowa had a lot more going on for it than I came across.
no, Iowa is my favorite Slipknot.
I mean, that I was ready for when I listened to it. I know nowadays, we've listened to everything now, but I'm just saying, for me,
I throw that on every now and then, like every like
Iowa
year.
still holds up for me, dude.
Dude,
Yeah,
honestly,
their
their first 3 records, I feel like,
Yeah.
are like
I didn't
flawless.
listen to the third one very much. It was like Iowa, and then
But
I
are
was
we
like,
talking Mate, Feed, Kill, Repeat, or we're talking
No.
I mean,
Iowa,
self-titled Iowa and Volume 3.
Volume 3, yeah,
Volume
yeah.
3 might just be a bit nostalgic for me because that was like
a little bit. Yeah,
that was
you're
the
just
first,
a little
like,
bit younger than
new-
us. So
yeah, and that was the first
you were at
new
that
record
perfect
that
age.
came out when I was like, I found them and was
Adolescent.
getting super into them, and like then that was like the first time I was like, oh, I get to experience this for the first time with other people and not just like the older stuff.
Yeah.
Totally.
So that was like the first time that a couple of my friends and I all bought like the same CD on the same
Self-titled
day.
was
and-
99. So Joel, how old were you in 99? You were 13, 14?
No, I was like 15 or
Really?
16. I
Or
think
maybe
so.
I was. So I was the young one because I graduated at 17. So
I got it in 2000. I mean, I got the video
you
in
graduated 01, Joel?
2002.
02. So we're the same graduating class.
Yeah.
So I was at so I was 14 when you were 15. But it's like that's when it came out, 99.
I was 10.
Yeah, dude, that's the perfect age to come across something like that, dude. Right?
Yeah. Oh no, I remember. I mean, just like we talked about earlier, just like I mean, I forget what first. It was that video that drew me to them because I was like, "What the fuck? They're all wearing masks. Who are these people?"
Welcome
I wanted to know.
my neighborhood or whatever.
Yeah. I got that for $5.
VHS.
It was Sam
It was
Goody.
only like 19 minutes long or something.
Yeah, I got it for $5 at Sam Goody, and then they got popular, and I went back and saw after Iowa came out and stuff. It was there again, and I pulled it's like $36.99. I was like, all right, they're capitalizing now that they're popular. But
yeah.
But no, it was just it's a cool concept.
They had DVDs by then too.
Yeah, it's
probably.
like bands. Just I wanted to know who I like the mystery because that's like we bring up Sleep Token again. It's like they're trying to do it, but you can just Google who they are. But like a lot of the mystery is gone from music. It's now like just now I have it right in front of my face. I got an email at 9:00 that the new Crosses album with Chino Moreno just got released on Spotify at 9:00 tonight. So I just at 9:01 I went on. It's like all ready to go, like songs with like The Cure and stuff on there. I'm like, oh my god! Like it used to be, okay, this is coming out tomorrow, and I have to go to the record store and hopefully get one. Like,
hopefully they'll have enough copies. Yeah.
So, hopefully they didn't order more than 9, and I have like
one of my favorite stories from that. Like I mentioned earlier, how like Nocturnal is like one of the only records that I remember exactly where I was the day that I listened to it and like got it. So like the day that album came out, my brother Jake was not in school at this point, and so I was like, all right, dude. So here's what's gonna happen today. 1, you're gonna drop me off at school. I'm going to give you this Best Buy gift card that I got for birthday or Christmas or whatever. And at 10:00 when Best Buy opens, I need you to go to Best Buy and buy a copy of Nocturnal. And then you need to come back to school with your car when we take lunch. And then we're all going to sit in your car and listen to this record.
Because I can't wait until the school's over.
Yeah,
I need
exactly.
And so it on lunch.
We just like, we sat in Jake's car. We smoked a joint and we listened to Nocturnal, like me, Jake, and then the guitar player from Calculating Genocide, TJ, and my drummer Chris. We all sat together and just like listened to that record for the first time, and it was just like magical, dude. Like it was like I said, that's one of the very few albums that I remember the day and time and exactly like where I was and who I was with when I first experienced it.
And the whole world was within that vehicle.
Yeah. Nothing
at that
mattered.
moment. At that moment,
nothing else mattered.
Nothing outside of that car mattered. It was just the people you were with while you were listening to that for the first time, and having that experience for the first time. Like, that's exactly why you remember the date, the time, the weather, all that kind of shit, because it was just this one like photographic moment where same reason why you smell a certain smell and you're like, oh, that's my ex-girlfriend's cologne from fucking 20 years ago,
Yeah.
Or cologne. Yeah, my ex cologne, sorry. But you know what I'm saying? It's like
yeah, totally.
How you get transported back, and actually those are like the real treasures in life, you know, blah blah blah, hippy dippy shit. But it really is like the things that matter the most are those very detailed moments that we can totally trust to be there for us, and we can just go back to them and be like, yeah, I'm sitting in the back of this car right now and I'm listening to Nocturnal for the first time, and it's amazing. You know?
I'm coming as life goes on. Like I've noticed, actually, kind of recently, how much our high school life is what we
adolescence is actually like, where everything gets locked in, dude.
That's like where everything, like we always go back to, like, oh, this is why I feel this way is because of something in high school or something. Is it? I feel like high school is the years where, and maybe junior high school, middle school, is where things kind of get locked in, like you said, and it's like we always kind of go back or we have thoughts on things, and it's always because of the thought of the music that we're into back then and then how we relate to it now. And I think high school is like the kind of the most underrated time of our lives. Like we've kind of, it could be positive for people. It was kind of in the middle for me, as far as like social. Like I was pretty antisocial back then, but
I just all over the place, dude. I like to hang out with everybody because I played football, but at the same time I smoked a lot of weed. So I was like, here's my jock side of myself, here's my fucking weed smoking metal rap guy. Because it was also, you know, at that time you had to kind of pick a side. Are you a rocker or a rapper? You know?
yeah.
I was like, I'm both. Like, leave me alone. Like, I'm right in the middle here.
I kind of had a weird thing with high school, I guess, because like the middle school that I went to was not a feeder school for the high school that I ended up going to. So like freshman year was like I knew no one. And everybody was kind of already in their like groups of people that had gone to schools together previously and shit.
Yeah.
So like my freshman year and like most of sophomore year, I didn't. And also like my mom was pretty strict, and I did like newspapers with her every day before school. So I would wake up at like 1 a.m. and go to work, and then I would get off at like 6 or 7 a.m. and then I would eat something and then walk to school, and then I would go to school for the day. And so like
what
even the people that I like, there were people that I ended up becoming really, really good friends with like junior year and senior year that I met my freshman year of high school that were consistently like, hey dude, do you want to come hang out with us? We're gonna blah blah blah, we're going snowboarding, or we're gonna do this thing or that thing. And I was always just kind of like, nah dude, I got stuff going on. No thanks. And I like straight up just like, I don't think I hung out with anyone that I actually went to school with my entire freshman year of high school.
I was the same way. I was
sophomore year was pretty similar, and then like junior year and senior year is when I was kind of like
same.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to talk to people because being alone all the time kind of sucks.
Yeah, no, I remember that my parents would literally, or my mom would literally like talk to other parents and get people to come over to the house because I didn't want to hang out with anyone. I was like completely sick because we were like in the mountains and stuff, and I would be like, you know, what's up? How's it going at school? But once I got, because I had to take, it's like an old man story. I had to take 2 city buses and a taxi home because like I wanted to be where my original friends were, but that's all I cared about was like doing the school thing and then just like going in my own hobbit hole. Like I didn't want to like hang out with anyone outside of school. And then,
dude.
And then
I didn't know this really. I mean, if I knew this, I forgot about it.
No, junior year. So my mom moved out of the like woods into Aptos, back to Aptos where I like originally kind of grew up when I was like a younger kid. And then it was like, oh, your friend Ian that you grew up with down the street, and Adam and Carrie or Jody was Carrie's sister. That's how I knew it first. And so I was like, oh, I'm gonna go hang. I remember like drinking beers and like pouring them out. Like I'd be like, ugh, and like at the come to a party with us, and I'm like, cool. I would drink it. I'm like, oh, this sucks. I hate this. And just like I'd pour it out in like the bushes. I'm like, oh, I'm done, dude. I'm hammered. I don't know what's going on. Like I would just
the funny
like
thing too is it was probably also shit beer. So it's not like that you
were,
you know what I mean?
I still remember
like Coors Light or something. It's like not even that you were like, you were just like, Yeah.
Oh, and now it's just water. It doesn't even. It's like whatever. It's like quenching me actually right now. But like at the time, I was like, remember when I was a kid, my mom would like have a sip of a
I
Corona.
just imagine you like
Gross.
literally being like, "Oh, dude, I need to take a break from all this other beer. I gotta hydrate with this beer."
I mean, if you think about it, though, all alcohol, it's disgusting. It doesn't taste good. It doesn't. No alcohol tastes good. It's
What are you
no.
talking about, dude? A fucking
No. I know you.
big glass of whiskey on some ice that's been sitting there for 5 minutes. You roll it around and let it open up.
I will drink it faster than you can. I'm saying this is my point. So the coffee tastes like garbage. I'm just talking about like from a child, from your base
Coffee
state.
tastes like garbage. Who am I talking to right now?
Yeah. So you as a child, you were drinking, as a 5-year-old, you're drinking coffee. Shut the fuck up. So when you were a kid, your automatic reaction was like, this is disgusting. But then you're like, oh, there's positive side effects that come from this. Oh, it starts to taste good. It's still, and we trick our brains into it tasting good. But like the fact that we think gasoline, I mean, I love whiskey. The fact that we think that tastes good is fucking just because it makes us feel good. It's not. It's all trained through our brain. It's all garbage. It tastes like dirt and fucking gasoline. But we're like, ooh,
No.
this is
I mean, I understand what you're to an extent. I'm hearing you, and I understand what you're saying because
Trevor,
our brain
give
does
Trevor
trick us.
whiskey. Give Trevor whiskey. Give your child, just give him a little droplet on his tongue and see if you like.
I'm gonna give my 12-year-old whiskey, even though I was probably no, not at 12. I probably by 13 or 14 I might have tasted.
No, but if you give a droplet on his tongue
alcohol.
of whiskey and then coffee, just watch his reaction. He's gonna be like,
he's already drank coffee and he actually enjoys it.
So to me, I think
he's got a dirtbag dad. I'm just
the
kidding.
only beers that I feel like I just inherently am like, damn, this is like good, or like certain stouts.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think
they have like a
that's- I
sweetness
think-
to them.
Yeah, there's like, but that's like, it's a more complex kind of like flavor thing. There's a lot going on. But I definitely understand what you're saying. Like where it's
Yeah, I
like
think
You're talking about
over-
acquiring tastes for things. That's what it is.
Yeah, because of the
Yeah.
effects that it gives you. It's not because of
Exactly.
the taste. And then we have to all of a sudden find what's the best, just the least shittiest part of this coffee that's good now. And it's like, it tasted like shit to begin with. And we were like, oh, but we wake up and we have a good day at work. So it's like, all right, so what's the best kind of the garbage that we're drinking?
That's
Well,
why
Keurig coffee
Starbucks
sucks.
is like
Starbucks is terrible. So
I love Starbucks.
But I mean, like
have,
that's why
like, a
that's why
good
Starbucks is
barista
like the
make it.
biggest drug dealer on the planet right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, oh,
dude,
they
just
are,
'cause
for sure.
They've tricked people into being like, hey, here's your morning milkshake.
1,000
Like,
here's
calories.
your morning milkshake. Exactly.
That's pretty
Stevie,
much-
dude.
that's
That's
pretty much what they're
exactly
doing.
what it is,
I didn't
dude.
I didn't really
Fucking
fuck with
milkshake
coffee
for breakfast.
until we were recording Vile Genesis, right?
Mhm.
And it was in COVID times, 2020. We were in Denver, staying at Dave's, recording the record. And I remember I went to Sprouts to get some more Celsius because like I had ran out and they didn't have any. And then I went to Walmart and they didn't have any. And then I went to King Soopers, which is like their Kroger or Fred Meyer, and they didn't have any. And I was like jonesing. It's like, dude, fuck, I need
Yeah, it's a drug.
caffeine. I don't want Red Bull because there's too much sugar in it. I don't want Monster because it tastes like ass and I'm not 15. And I was just like going over my options, and I was like inside the little apartment that we were staying at and was kind of pissed. And our guitar player Mike Lowe was just like, you could just drink some fucking coffee, dude. We have plenty of coffee here.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
And so finally, like I made a pot and I put some honey in it and a little bit of milk, and I was
Honey and
into
coffee.
it.
I've
And
never
I was
tried.
like,
Oh yeah.
fucking-
Well,
I
I'd
was-
rather use honey than fucking processed sugar.
I was stuck on it and went hard in the coffee pain for like
Yeah, me too.
2.5 years, and then burned
I was
myself out and
30
was
something
like,
years
"Fuck it."
old. Yeah, I was 30 something years old when I got into coffee. Yeah, it's like you, because you
Yeah.
like that album was only a few years ago.
Yeah,
Like same thing. It was like it was actually Pike's Place, just the normal roast Pike's Place coffee. I know you hate Starbucks, but I remember just like the certain taste of it. I'm like, okay, I actually kind of like this.
I mean, but like getting it from them and the like getting a thing and making it at home is totally different. Because when you do it at home, there's like the ritual. It's like when you make tea. Right?
Yeah.
A big part of the enjoyment is like the ritual around making it and pouring it into your mug and you being the one that adds the things and like being in control of the process.
My ADHD is way too gnarly to have the ritual, but I'm just saying. But I know a lot of people do have the ritual though, and I live with a very ritualistic person that's like every day he comes home, he makes his lunch for the next day, he does his thing, he wraps a certain thing a certain way, puts his box in the right place, he does the whole thing. And for me, it's just like madness. It's like, I might do that or do something different. I might do like, I might get a monster. I don't know, like instead, I might like
monster, dude.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I haven't got a monster in forever, but like,
I'm all about Celsius, dude.
Yeah, Celsius is good.
Monster doesn't have enough.
Celsius has the small ones, the green tea ones. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
dude,
those are legit, they don't like pre-workout though that make you like itch. They're not those ones, right?
No, they don't have much niacin.
It's all like natural.
Because it was the thermogenic ones. I got the thermogenic ones from like from Costco once, and I was like, cool, dude. And I'm like sweating and itching, like.
Oh, that's brutal, man. You just gotta you just gotta get the regular ones, like
okay.
Strawberry guava or the wild berry.
Oh, okay,
yeah, dude. No, those are legit, dude. Definitely, like if I'm like too much coffee, but I still want an energy drink, the Celsius, that's the one that I go for. I don't rarely get Bang shit anymore. Bang feels like I just snorted 2 lines, like, dude, and then did a podcast. That's how I used to feel like.
For some reason, but Bang and Rain, like I feel like I either like feel it and I'm like, oh my gosh,
or don't feel anything.
Absolutely nothing happens.
Yeah, same.
And I went through enough of the absolutely nothing happens that I just don't fuck with it anymore.
I just don't want the fake.
When we toured with Shadow of Intent the first time, or I mean, I guess both times, Bryce Butler, like he like didn't really even warm up ever. He would just drink a Bang and then go up on stage and like, and just like geek out and like annihilate his parts. It was sick.
This is how old I am. We toured with Carnifex, and like Four Locos had just come out. Like the band Four Locos would, like those had just dropped, and we used to like get to the new town and be like, all right, who's getting the Locos? Like we just like when we'd have one and go on stage, and it had like energy in it and a bunch of alcohol.
Yeah,
and we called it,
they're caffeinated.
Yeah, we called it stage sauce. We were like, dude, let's get some stage sauce. Like, and I'd just be like not drunk, and obviously like weed's going everywhere, and I was like a big weed smoker back then, so I'd be like, have that, a little bit of weed, and I'd just be like fucking going up to the crowd like, what's up? What's going on? Like, all like cracked out. And man, like then a bunch of kids died on it, and then they banned it, and then it got all weak. But the original Four Loko, I was like high as fuck on those.
I remember the OG, and I did one experience with it, and because I tend to be the one that can't turn the valve off. So once I start drinking, I keep going. So on 3 Four Locos for me, I'm only 5'7", 160 pounds, dude. 3 Four Locos puts me into night mode, and I ended up on the floor in DK's house, and it was like the weirdest. That's the thing, dude. Our it's burning. That's burning candles. Burning the candle at both ends type deal, where you're just, it's the hippie speedball.
Yeah.
But in a can.
Man, you were just talking about smoking. I remember when I was younger, I used to be able to do it and play shows and be fine. And then, I remember this one time I was in Vale of Noth, and we were playing this show with the Legion, and it was what was it? It was the album release show, I think, for Form Shifter, maybe.
Okay.
Or maybe it was the record after that.
Yeah.
But I like smoked with Ezra, and then it was like maybe 20 minutes before it was time for Vale to play, and then we went up, and like I was playing our set, but I wasn't able to like really hit that flow state mode. So like as a vocalist, like you're looking at the crowd. You can't not look at the crowd. You're looking people in their face and stuff. And after a while, I'm just like, man, why is everybody staring at me right now? Like I'm not doing vocals. Mikey Reeves is over here playing a guitar solo, and like everybody, like people are like looking, and I just like could not get out of my own head.
Oh God,
I was so uncomfortable.
I've been
and
there.
like ever since then, I was just like, nah, dude, just I'm good.
I mean,
I just go.
For
on
me,
stage
it would be the
sober.
physical thing that would be the only thing that got in my way at that time. I
inhaling smoke,
do anything high, but doing the vocal, the throat thing is what I was thinking about while you were talking. Is that's what would have gotten in my way is the cotton mouth and the dry throat. That's why I wouldn't really smoke too much before a show, but I would be chiefing all night after that, motherfucker.
Yeah, I remember like my most nightmarish show was that kind of situation. It was Black Dahlia on the Nocturnal tour, and Brian got like a pound of weed. We were like, it's a second show. Oh, kitty, my kitty's over here.
Kitty cat.
Keep him
We're
from
all
getting in
we're
trouble.
all surrounded. Dude, I have a cat here too. We have a couple cats, dude. We're all cat people tonight, dude.
Yeah.
We have 3 cats and 3 snakes.
Tonight was the night that Birdie totally accepted me for the first time, dude. Because
really?
Oh, Mike's cat. Yeah.
Mike's cat, one of Mike's cats, Birdie, and that's the one that's
a big deal
like,
when it happens.
During this whole time that I've been doing this, like every time I'm like, all right, Birdie's the one that warms up to me. It used to take her a little bit of time, but then eventually she'd come around and rub herself along the leg or sniff me or whatever like that. And I was like, all right, I'm starting to be accepted, you know? And tonight was the first night where I just showed up and Birdie was like, what's up, dude? And I was like, oh, dude, all right, dude, I'm in now.
That's sick. No, back on the stoner story. Because it's
that was the stoner story.
It's like you're like all my stories are stoner stories. But I remember Brian got like a pound of weed and we were in like Philadelphia or something, like at the Fillmore or something. It was like a huge show. It's the second show of the tour. First show was already insane, sold out at like BB King's in like downtown New York. And then I'm just bonding with the dudes. You know, Black Dahlia's always a band I've like always looked up to, and like I'm like, oh fuck, they're like our friends now. This is weird. And they're like, all right, I was a big stoner back then, and they're like, do you want to smoke? I'm like, fuck yeah. And he just pulls out like a pound. He's like, this guy just gave me a pound, and we just started just rolling joints, like we're smoking the whole time. And then I'm just like, I can, it's like really fucking good shit. And I remember just going like, I'm high as fuck. Luckily I have time to like get sober. And then the time just flew by, and the tour manager goes like, you guys are on in like 15 minutes. And I was like, no, dude, our doors open? They're like, yeah, they've been open for like 45 minutes, for like 30 minutes. And I go outside. And I remember I look out, and I remember there's like a little curtain, because like curtains and shit, because we already sound checked and stuff, so that's cool. We're already done with sound check. But like I looked out the curtain, and it's like the war field. There's like 1,000 or 2,000 people in the bottom, just like ready to go. And then there's like a fucking top deck balcony of people just going, like ready to go. And I'm just like, oh no, dude, like this is a nightmare. Like I'm already like anxiety city. I'm like, the first show we played with them, I was like fucking freaking out. And then like I got so high that I'm like, this is my nightmare. This is the number one worst day of my life. This is like the worst thing I've ever done. And I'm a bass player, so I'm not like having to do that would be, I'd probably just like make a big scene and leave and have to like quit the band at that point. But I remember I was like, all right, just go out there and just do it. And I remember just doing it. And I can only see the first like 4 rows of people. And I was like, all right, that's nice. And then I started walking around. I'm like, I have confidence to walk around stage now. And there was a spotlight like following me. Someone had a spotlight on the top, and they were following me.
I didn't know this was gonna happen.
And I was Tom and Jerry, like,
yeah, like, I got a motor, dude. I'm just
trying to pick it. Is going to fall.
Leave me alone, dude.
I just exactly same thing. I was like, that totally Tom and Jerry. I was looking at it, just going like, fuck, this is like he's following me, and I'm like, I just froze. Like it turned to like a Sub-Zero. He just like froze me with the spotlight. I was like, I just turned to a statue, and I was like, fuck, get through this. Get through
this.
You guys
ever like injured yourself on stage?
I mean, my ear went
70% deaf now.
That's like 90% deaf. But yeah, I've just done with like bad feedback and stuff. I think that's what happened. I had swine flu around the same time, so I don't really know if it was if it was one of those. But my ear right now is it's completely. I think it's completely deaf. It's
I may have like rolled an ankle or something, because I don't have any ankle support because I perform in flip flops or barefoot. But that's
as a vocalist. I have questions for you guys. How you like you're live in front of people, then you have to sneeze. Like, what do you do? You're like,
no, I've never had to sneeze live, dude.
Adrenaline takes that over, right? You don't have to deal with.
Yeah, I think that's actually a good point right there, dude. Burping. I think that there's certain things like
burping is like the one thing that I
push because there's a bunch of airs getting pushed and you can build a burp up.
It's because sometimes, like, especially like in those moments where you're like sick, I have like a down section, there's a solo happening, I'm gonna go take a sip of water. Sometimes it's like a little too much, or there's some like
too much
extra air or something like that.
But you got to come back and do some shit, and then you feel the burp in you.
Yeah, I've thrown up on stage because of something like that, like trying to fight it. And then so it kind of just like
the bubble wins
when it happens. It's just like and then
it might add some texture to something if it comes out at the right moment.
The thing that sucks about it is that like it like burns the inside of your stomach acids, like
bile and stuff.
There was one time like I try not to eat like 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours before we play. Right,
I feel you on that.
Because I had this experience once where I ate way too close, and I straight up just like 3/4 of the way through the set during a solo section vomited in front of
dude,
like just like on
the
front of the crowd, like in the pit area. I felt so bad. There was one dude that like slipped in it and like ate shit.
Ooh. Did he fall off a 6-foot stage and break his knee to the side?
No, not as bad as that one, but. I think the only time I've ever hurt myself on stage was there was once Tethys was playing a show with Neavlascaris and a Legion, and was sold out, and the dude that was shooting the show got like too close to the stage, so like he was like up on it, kind of like pressed against it, and like he angled his camera and lens up as I was going down. And my head collided with his camera lens. And at first I thought I headbutted him because I just like my eyes were kind of closed and I opened them and I just saw stars for a second. And I looked at him and I was like, all right, this person's still standing. I'm still standing. I don't see any blood on you. Like, cool. I didn't like headbutt your nose. We're all right. And then couple seconds go by and I go to like adjust my in-ear, and when I pull my hand away I just see blood on my hand. And then it's like everything goes slow-mo and I like look at the crowd and I'm like oh no, blood on these people. And I like look over at Corey and I'm like there's a little bit of blood on Corey. And then so I do this and I pull my hand away and it's like covered in blood.
Jesus.
And I had ended up headbutting their camera lens and shattering their camera lens with my forehead.
And it split open on your forehead.
Yeah, and I ended up after I finished our set, I tried to use my shirt as like a turban thing. It worked momentarily. But
did you get stitched up?
Yeah, that happened during like the second song in our set. So I finished the set and then I went outside and I like picked my phone up and I was like, all right, let me see what this looks like. And I remember the old vocalist for a Legion, Riley McShane, walked up to me. And I was like, dude, I don't think I need stitches. I think it'll be fine. And he's like, if you still want to be pretty, you need to go get stitches. That's going to be a really ugly scar. And I was like, man, fuck. And so I went back, got stitched up. I needed 8 stitches. And then I came back to the show. And as I got there, Neavlascaris had like just finished playing. And I was like, man, that was the second time they'd been in the States. And I was like, I thought for sure I would get to see them this time. Played the show with them. Didn't get to see their set.
But 8 stitches means you definitely needed to get stitched up, dude.
Yeah.
It wasn't something you could leave to the morning and be like,
I thought,
how do I feel about this now?
It was the first time I had ever gotten stitches, so I thought that I would be able, like, just looking at it, I was like, I could probably like super glue it. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah.
That would have got you through at least to the end of the tour, but you still Vietnam your scar probably.
Yeah.
I had a friend one time that literally like he came to my house and he was like drunk as shit. This is like back at the Furniture Dome days, and he had like his buddy. He was like fucking with his buddy. He jumped on the back of his car. But his buddy put it in reverse, and like he slammed his head, and his lip was just hanging off. Like he was all smiling. He's all, it's gross, right? And he'd smile, and it just like would just be like, it would just be completely. It was like a huge split, like this big right here. It's like it's funny, right? It's like over here, and I'm like, bro.
Oh, dude, that's fucking
and then
me up.
Why are you
Bill from Decrepit?
in the hospital right now?
We had a hospital across the street. And Bill from Decrepit's like, dude, I'll just fucking fix that right now and just fucking put super glue on it, and it was fine. It's forever fine. And I was like,
old
when
school punk rocker surfer, fucking Santa Cruz.
yeah,
dude.
Yeah.
I remember just watching. We were all like drinking, like it's like 10 people there, and we're just watching him get his like lips because it was like hanging. It was disgusting. It was one of the most disgusting things. It was probably an inch deep on his lip, and it was just like fucking like a filleted out. And I was like, dude, you need to go to the. But it wasn't bleeding though, which is tripping me out.
Like, your mouth shouldn't open up sideways, bro. You need to go to the hospital, dude.
He's like fucking Predator, just like insane. But
Since you brought
It's
up
supposed to be 3D, not 2D, dude.
exactly. Since you brought up Bill, dude, like I remember the first time I heard Decrepit Birth, I was actually in high school, and it was like when right around the time Diminishing Between Worlds came out.
Yeah.
Super killer record. And
I wasn't on it.
like oh, did you join afterwards?
Yeah. Oh, I joined during that run. I was jamming with them right after they recorded it. So like the bass player just wasn't showing up or something, and they were like, and it was 2 weeks before the Black Dahlia tour, and they were like, I remember I was at Panda Express, and they were like, Bill called me, and was like, "Do you want to join?" And I was like, because we jammed in the same spot.
Let me get this orange chicken real quick, bro, and I'll think about it.
Yeah. I remember I was in the parking lot, like just pulled up, was like, I'm about to get down with that orange chicken, and I was like, yes. I was like, fuck, what did I just do? All right, I just joined Decrepit Birth. All right, I have to go practice a bunch and learn the whole set in like 2 weeks. For me, that was kind of a, I'm not like, I mean, I can do it, but I like was freaking out a little bit, and I was after like
2 weeks. 2 weeks to learn those songs, like
they're playing "And Time Begins" and shit. They're playing like hard songs too, and I was like,
happy anniversary, right? What's the anniversary? It just recently hit a 20-year, right?
It was 2003, I think that came out. Yeah, Jesus,
20-year anniversary,
dude.
guys.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
How insane was that? That was a pinnacle, and it still holds up, dude.
I remember just like when they first released samples of "And Time Begins." They're like, "Oh, this new band from Santa Cruz," and we were like in Santa Cruz. And I was like, let me listen to these samples. And I'm like, what the fuck is? I was like trying to start my own band with Carrie, and I'm like, dude, maybe Carrie, we can get good enough one day to play a show with them. Like maybe we can like open for them one day or something. That was like my dream. It was like and I was hearing these samples. I was like, this is like inhuman music. I didn't know anything about any kind of drum replace, even though they didn't drum replace, but they used clips of Tim Young and stuff. But
well, I just want to throw out the 4th, 5th, 7th, 100th time I've said this story real quick. I'm not going to do it the whole very abridged version. SOD magazine CDs used to come with it. Unique Leader did one. It was Decrepit Birth, Prelude to the Apocalypse with fucking Kevin Talley on drums, and that was my first, very first introduction to Decrepit.
Like dude.
Half speed. But actually, in reality, I loved that speed. I was like, this is too fast when "And Time Begins" came out. I was like, so used to Prelude in the demo version that it came a little too much, too fast. But I eventually enjoyed the speed that it is now, accompanied by the rest of the songs on that album. It's a nice intro to the rest of the album, because that's actually probably not the slowest, but like nice,
it's the easiest
appetizer for what really was to come for that album.
Decrepit sets, I'd be like, oh, thank God it's Prelude. We're done. Like it's so that'd be like compared to everything else. I'm like, this is so chill. All right, finally we're to this, But if it wasn't my friends in the band, like jamming with them, because we were sharing a drummer. It wasn't like hanging out with them all the time. I was already like close with them, so I was like, if it wasn't for that, I'd be like, fuck no, I'm not doing that. Like I needed that comfortability of because I had low confidence in myself playing that stuff, so I was like, I need friends to be like, am I doing good? Tell me
a little bit,
and also tell me if I'm doing bad. Tell me if I'm doing it or not. Like don't be all awkward and be like, all right, dude, that was a good job. I'd just sit in front of Matt and play the songs and be like, all right, fucking. He's like, all right, fuck yeah, like let's do it. You're in. And I was like, all right, and that just took me down that whole rabbit hole of Banana Town with fucking Decrepit. But I don't know why I went down that road.
Having friends in the band is like
friends that you have
crucial,
fun with,
you know,
like
like
you know, yeah.
that's kind of how I ended up joining Inferi is like you know, like Malcolm and I chatted quite a bit back in like the MySpace days when I like first found Inferi,
Mhm.
like right before they released The End of an Era and like went on hiatus for a long time. And then the first time I met him, he was playing with Discreet, and they rolled through Colorado,
Oh,
and I was
that's
like,
right.
dude, sick! I finally get to meet this dude. Discreet is really sick. And,
Yeah,
you know, he was
totally.
yeah.
I forgot he was in Discreet. Jesus.
Oh yeah, dude, that album that he did with them was super
With
killer.
Zach, he did with Zach Oren. Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
Mhm.
Yeah, totally.
And you know, so the years go by, and like I joined Equipoise with Nick and
That's
Sanjay,
right.
and
Okay.
we released a record with the Artisan Era, and the vocalist that Inferi had at the time, Sam Schneider, who did Revenant, was unable to. He did like, he wasn't able to tour with them right away, and so um, Malcolm had asked me, like, knowing that like him and I would work well together, and what my voice sounded like most recently with doing stuff for Equipoise. If I would want to fill in. And I was like, dude, fuck yeah. He sent me the set list, and I was like, tight, I need to learn one of these songs. I already know all of the other songs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So
So,
I've already done them in the shower. I already know how they go. Like,
yeah,
That's sick.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And then you know, did that tour with them. It was with Alter Beast. Alter Beast was the headlining band on it. It was
That's
for the Feast Winter
right.
tour.
I saw that.
And
That's where I first saw you.
yeah, it was
Yeah, yeah,
dude,
yeah, yeah.
it was a whole lot of fun. And
Yeah, because I remember asking last night me and Joseph were
What
at
year was that?
Igor.
that was 2018.
Okay, maybe that wasn't the first time I saw you, but it was
You
were
were
playing
in your
Holy Diver
20s
though.
still, dude.
What?
You weren't even 30 yet. You were 29, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
said you're 34, so that
Mhm.
you were still in your 20s. That's
That
the
was at Holy
time.
Diver though. That hit Holy Diver in Sacramento though, right? I think that's where I
Yes.
first
Yeah,
saw
yeah.
you. Yeah. Okay.
We played Holy Diver at that one, and I think wait, had they changed the name?
Oh, it was it was a different venue before.
Yeah, or no, they had changed the name. I can't remember what it was called, because like I rolled through there
Like
once with
Blue Light,
Tethys, and we played,
Blue.
The
and it was
Satanic
like the
Flyer.
last show.
Yeah. Okay.
Before
Sorry, I
they
was doing
changed
the
the name.
opposite. Holy Diver, Satanic Flyer. Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the first tour that I did with Inferi, and then Sam did the next tour after that with
totally
Rivers,
what it
and
was.
kind of
Yeah, okay.
decided that he didn't want to like be in a touring band. And so since we'd kind of already established that connection and like worked well together, I remember I was at work one day and Malcolm called me and was like, "Hey dude, do you want to join Inferi full time?" And I was like, "Yes." Cool. All right. Sick. Let's do
Dude,
it.
a band would be so lucky. I mean, just talking to you, and also too, like it brings me back to like the whole like death metal does bring out a lot of chill people. I can just
You
tell.
good people, dude.
I can just tell that you're
Thanks,
like
man.
you're a dream vocalist, and because
Well,
you're like super
You're
chill.
just somebody that definitely I would want to be touring. If I had to tour somebody,
And sit in a
that
van
would,
with you, like you're chill,
yeah.
you're nice, you're respectful. I can tell like everything you have all those qualities too, because you'll meet the people that are like, oh, like I'm friends with them. That's cool. Then you get in a van with them, and they're just like a fucking nightmare. There's
But-
those. That's just
Okay, so
how.
Yeah.
dude, Joel,
Thank you,
you're
though.
with
I
you're on
appreciate it.
this episode right now with me, 151. How many people have we talked to in the amount of time that we've been doing this show?
I
And
can't count.
but I'm just saying, how many people have been awesome? Probably 149 of them.
Maybe 147.
Okay, maybe, yeah. That's my positive vibe. And Joel's probably being more realistic. Like there's probably like 5 or
Well, one thing
No,
about the podcast that's really cool is that I come into it going like, oh, like I heard something about this person or some not with this one, but just like in the past.
Guttural Reef.
Oh,
Wait,
God.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but Guttural Reef, there's one episode that has been pulled from our channel.
That wasn't a
'cause
bad guess. I mean, we did get in a fight with him on air.
And he burned all his bridges by the end of it. and we
that
then
was
got
that was
we got it was up for 6 days, and then we got hit up by a lawyer. What are you talking about?
What?
we've never talked about it on there.
Dude,
But anyways,
that is insane. It is kind of weird how even knowing how ultimately small the different tiers that are in metal are.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
That some people still insist on burning bridges. Like
I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
like,
usually it's leaders
like,
of bands, I would
like
say, right?
yeah, like straight up, like they're like, oh, I'm in a band, but I'm also an arsonist. And so they like, like fucking just like compulsively.
That's kind of how this guy was, dude. I was like in the beginning. Okay, so full disclosure, we're gonna break the fourth out wall. Take that back. We're gonna break the fourth wall right now, really hard. When we asked you before we started this episode, Stevie, what did we ask you? Is there anything you don't want us to talk about?
That's
we did that. Okay, we don't have to say anything about you, but I'm just saying. Which, by the way, he didn't have anything. But this guy immediately started listing off like hard things. Like here's all the specifics. Like,
oh no,
and I was like, oh,
I don't want to talk about anything that happened from 2002 to 2007.
But also, it's mental illness shit. So I don't want to like get too deep in that,
dude. Well, I didn't say any names.
I mean, just because it's not like a person. It's not like a normal person. No, it's not like a normal person with like no problems. Like he had like.
So what you want? If he's watching this episode, you're looking out for him right now because nobody knows anything about that. So it's all good.
No, I'm saying it's like I'm trying. There's an asterisk there. Like he was chill, and then there's like an ups and downs, and then it would get really totally angry and really chill. And
like he chose something about it. He chose to burn. He was like, "Oh, here's like the list," and then I was like, "Oh no, dude!" And then go live or whatever. Did we do live then? We probably didn't.
No, we didn't. No,
it was recorded.
Right. Actually, no. That's the reason why I was like, we're gonna go live now because people would say stuff, and then Casey would be tasked with, I have to go edit all that shit out.
And
I was like, you know
what a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it would take him like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours sometimes, and I was like, and he was like pissed off in the morning. I like woke up to it, and I was like, you know what? Let's just go fucking live. And if he says it, he says it. It's not on you. You don't have to worry about anything like that anymore. So that was the episode where the little lawyer thing came, and I was like, and there was like 20 edits he had to do, and I was like, dude, just erase it, and we're going live. We're just, if they want to say it, they say it, and that's on them. That's not on us. And we're not pushing misinformation. Like they're just saying it. Like I'm not, we're not like it's not like a. Yeah. So, anyways, so it just came down to
he definitely did burn some motherfucking bridges.
Plus, like,
on that episode.
To the credit of like long form kind of like podcasts and stuff like that too. Like I feel like as a listener, you're less worried that anyone's trying to push any certain kind of agenda. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know people love them some TikTok clips or whatever, but like at the end of the day, like if you get to watch something from start to finish and there's not like a bunch of like hard cuts, you know that like you get the full piece of information. There's not, you know what I mean? Like there's not something that could be edited to make someone look bad or dumb or anything like get that.
Honest way to assess your own opinion, you know? There's nothing like missing or added. It's just there, and then you can. I think that's where you really you get your honest opinion from anybody's conversation. We're voyeurs in this podcasting situation. We were totally the guys with the cup on the wall while we're listening to the neighbors and seeing what the fuck they're saying, and oh dude, she's moaning, dude, maybe I can you know what I'm saying? But that's the same exact thing. It's like we're listening in on something else and trying to like act like we're there, but we're really not. You know, everybody who's in the chat right now, they're experiencing this in the moment. But anybody else who goes on YouTube, it's just them going into environment that they want to like act like they're chilling with whoever. Yeah, that's how I feel when I listen to these podcasts. That
It's like you're just like a fly on the wall.
50 different
Yeah.
podcasts that I subscribe to. I'm waiting for them every single week. What's up with Joe List and fucking Mark Norman, dude? Like, I want to hang out with my bros over in fucking New York and hear them talk about fucking all this shit that everybody else in California doesn't want to hear them
That's
talk
like a
about.
ghost. You're a
For real.
ghost guest. You're just sitting there, just like, I am like a
It's-
clear person that's see through, but I'm
It's
here with
funny
you guys.
how attached you get to certain things like that. Like, I mean, this one's more of like a YouTube show than a podcast. But there's this YouTube show that I watch called The Y Files, and it comes out every Thursday at 8 p.m. Right?
Oh,
Or
dude.
at 8 p.m. Central.
They're competing
right?
with us, dude.
8,
What the
8
fuck,
p.m.
dude?
8 p.m. Central. So happens earlier. So I actually got to watch tonight's episode before I even had to set up for this.
Yeah.
But I remember like a couple weeks ago, they're building a new studio, so they like missed a week, and it totally fucked my whole Thursday night. I was like, I don't even know what to do without my freaking, you know, because it's like I'd listen to the episode when I'm at work.
So hard, dude.
Yeah. Because from when I sleep, my eyes are really. I'm finding out my eyes are really sensitive, so I have to put on the blinders, you know.
Yeah.
But I got the blinders now that with like a Bluetooth speakers in them,
Mhm.
so I just put a podcast on with blinders and I go to bed. And there's certain shows that I'm like, dude, it's fucking Sunday, like it's a new episode. And it's not there. I'm like, I don't even know what to do now. I have to listen to like a comedy one. I'm gonna start laughing. I don't want to
Also, Anthony, like I said, it's 8 p.m. Central, so I get to enjoy that. And chew on it before I chew on this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
plus, the fact that they're two totally different spheres of things just goes along with one of those like entire spectrums of satiation. You know, because Y-Files is like all like conspiracy, or like weird paranormal kind of
shit, dude. I'm not gonna necessarily latch onto it, but I love hearing conspiracy stuff. Dude.
Yeah,
I just love listening to.
That's like one cool thing about it too is the dude like he walks through it, right? Like what people view it as, and then he breaks it down and he's like, well, this is the actual evidence that like proves that this didn't happen and that didn't happen, but this part did. And so on and so forth. And
I like that that's the thing with the conspiracy guys. Like I'm gonna shout out like I know him, fucking Sam Tripoli, dude. He is so fucking funny, and there's some things in the tinfoil hat, you know, that's his podcast, dude. There's some things where he hits the fucking bullseye, and then like he has conspiracy fucking now I can't remember the name of the show, but he does it with Brian Callen, and then Brian Callen's like that
the skeptic,
other side is skeptic.
Yeah, the skeptic, exactly, dude. And I love that back and forth dynamic, dude.
Yeah,
it's like having a Mulder and a Scully, dude. Like
exactly.
And the thing that I think is cool about stuff like that is like a whole lot of it I do not believe in or buy into, but I just like, I don't know, this is interesting.
It's like he's there. It's like having
club.
It's having the it's like having the soundproofing on the echo chamber. It's like you have a little soundproofing to like, all right, you can't echo it back to me, motherfucker. I'm gonna be skeptic on what you're saying and kind of like, that's a really actually kind of like that. That's
I just want aliens to be completely confirmed real. Everybody's starting to feed me bullshit now. I feel like it's kind of bullshit. I think it's like there's some real shit that's been there for a while, but now they're like divvying it out like strategically to be like
like, I feel like the way that it's coming out seems like pretty disingenuous.
Yeah, it's like a politically covering up other political things. It's like, all right, aliens.
It feels performative.
Yes.
To me,
that's what it is.
Like
dude.
it doesn't feel like
if I need a performance, I'm gonna go see Igor, dude. I'm gonna go
exactly,
dude.
Dude. Igor, I guarantee you, the way that you guys talked about the spiritual experience that you guys had witnessing Igor seems a million times more interesting than watching those freaking hearings.
Yeah,
you know? Like
and hearings,
also,
dude.
like
I've gone to bed to hearings before. Jesus,
at this
puts
point,
me to sleep though.
at this point, like, I just show me the shit or shut the fuck up. Like,
Yeah,
if you're
yeah,
not
yeah.
gonna show me something, then just like, I don't even want to hear you talking about it. Like, just, I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
just until you can be like, well, check this shit out. We got a crazy ass craft, or like, here's a
Show me the
legit corpse,
fucking-
and not that like fake Mexican thing that came
Yeah,
out.
that was fucking
bullshit, dude.
That's just like it
Was
made
that
me
edible
so
or
The
upset,
fact that
dude.
anyone bought into that is like,
No,
have
I
you- Have
didn't.
you ever seen clay? Have you ever seen someone do something with clay? Because that's what that looks like,
Dude,
It's fucking clay.
and what a shitty sculpture that was out of clay.
Yeah,
by
dude.
the way.
For sure. I feel like someone was just really, really proud of their kid, right? And they're like, we can't put this up on the fridge, but you know what we can do?
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god, we found it.
You're gonna be you'll eventually get to that point too where you're like, maybe I can pass this off as fucking Mexican aliens, dude. When your daughter brings the fucking sculpture that she made at school for the first time, dude.
Yeah.
And a lot of those people, though, I've noticed it's kind of like for a lot of friends that I have that go down. I have a bunch of friends that go down the conspiracy rabbit holes, and it's just, to me, it's like I don't want to say a mind virus, but because there are some conspiracies that they're completely true. But the thing is, when everything becomes
crazy,
but when everything is true though, and everyone's real, or it's like every conspiracy is legit, it's like no matter, it's just because. And first of all, one thing they hate too, the conspiracy theorists, is being called a conspiracy. That's like calling them the worst word you could ever think of.
Yeah.
That's like, to them, that like shoots them down and makes them look dumb. But I'm like,
it's
dude,
like
but everyone that you're bringing
for
up,
people.
yes, I was
like
gonna say that. I'll let you say that. But no, I mean, it's the same thing as like every conspiracy is true. It's like, but then the flat Earth one is the one where they're like, well, I don't believe in that one, but then everything else is like, dude, it's fucking true 100%. Like, check this out, and I'm like, well, dude, first of all, everyone's not correct. Like, there's probably there's a low percentage probably hitting that are actually evidently true, but like to say that anytime it's a conspiracy that you're like, I'm in, dude. It's the big government doing this,
an open mind. That's the whole
but
thing.
not too open. You have to be very and have the
you gotta adjust your bullshit meter.
I'm not prolapsing my anus on the world. I'm just fucking opening it up a little bit, dude. You can see inside, but I'm not gonna let anything out.
I know. Yeah. You got a small prolapse.
Yeah.
Like
just whatever might want to wander in.
Yeah, I think that the flat Earth thing is total, like, it's a legitimate like thought contagion.
Yeah.
Like it just kind of infects people, and
I think it's
like
there are a
just
few
like
that
a
are
real contagion. It stays dormant for a little bit, and then it starts to come back into the current reality, and now all of a sudden we're like, oh shit.
No,
flat Earth is here again.
It's a cosplay.
Was when it got suppressed the first time.
It's cosplay. I think they all secretly know. I mean, not all of them, but I think a lot of them. It's a group of people that they like, that they're friends with, and they want to keep. It's like a thing that they're like, we're not gonna. And it's a lot of people with a lot of things. They'll get the evidence and be like, no, dude, let me find a way to zigzag around this and find a reason why that's false. That's like totally doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And they'll just be like, oh, it's because of this, and the government, that's what you think it is, but it's a hologram. And they're like, dude.
Which brings me to my next
the funny
question,
thing about
Steve.
it too. Yeah, what's up?
Steve was going.
Tell me the specific magical fucking whatever you gotta say to reanimate a corpse in Harry Potter mythology. What is that called? The
Inferi?
I mean, you gotta fucking tell me how to say it if that's your band.
Do you
name,
want to know pronunciation?
What am I saying? It's not the potion. Obviously, it's not. That's a physical thing. What is it? The thing that you say if you're a magician and you gotta say this.
Abracadabra.
Oh no,
yeah,
that's
abracadabra
like
is a version of it, but what is the name for it? Is it a? It's not a ritual.
Did you interrupt Steve's story for this?
No, I don't have any story. I'm just trying to be. Now I'm like lost in the thing that I was trying to tie it back to the band.
Yeah.
Pull us out of the weeds right now.
It's a curse. I honestly don't
curse.
remember.
There it is.
Yeah,
so or is it a curse? Is it?
I mean,
that,
technically it would be a curse because like when you create,
right?
because like when you create an Inferi, it's like something that's specifically resurrected to do the bidding of a sorcerer. So it's not like you come back to life and you're like, haha, I'm gonna go back to just be in my life. Like you're pretty much like ritualistically enslaved to do the bidding of a sorcerer.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Oh, that's crazy.
I don't remember the incantation, but I will also say that.
See, these are all the words that I couldn't find. Curse, incantation, fucking. There's still something in there that I probably was thinking about that I couldn't remember.
But that's where the band's name originally comes from, and it was done years and years before I was in the band.
Ooh, he's separating himself from it.
Yeah.
No, but okay. I mean,
I fuck with it, dude.
I'm on the wavelength that we're talking conspiracy theories and all that shit.
Really bad.
Let's talk magic for a second, dude.
I've
read
Gathering?
Crowley for a while,
Yeah.
I know about Jack Parsons and his shit with sex magic and Crowley and all that kind of stuff. So what is it about joining that band? If you're gonna be a part of something that's already been established, you kind of want to take on some of that essence that they had there, right? So what's in there with why they named their band that and all that, like, so is magic something that even on a subtle level has been a part of your life at some point?
I'd say the biggest piece of magic that plays a role in my life regularly is actually Magic the Gathering, the trading card game.
Dude, I'm totally in it.
I play.
I mean, I'm not in it, but I'm totally down with that. You're saying that,
yeah. It's like the one actual hobby that I have. Especially like now as a parent, it's like I have time to work and do family stuff and do music stuff, and then whatever time I have beyond that is dedicated to Magic the Gathering. But going along with what you just said about like taking on or furthering the ideas that are at the core of a band, Inferi was a band that was very influential to me when I heard like The End of an Era and The Path of Apotheosis and Revenant. And so the way that Josh and Malcolm would write lyrics and stuff like that and focus on songwriting was something that I actually took a lot of inspiration from with what I was working on with like Equipoise and previous bands I had been in. And so I feel like getting into the fold with it being something that had already inspired me so much and I had sort of based some work off of, it wasn't very difficult for me to like find a way to write about things that fit the lyrical body of the band and stuff like that. So the first thing that I had like written with the band was the EP of Sunless Realms, and each of the stories that were a part of that are like different takes on Lovecraft stories. And so one of my favorites from it is The Abhorrent Art. It's the first song on the EP. It is like a retelling of The Hound. And then like Aeon's Torn is the other really big one. I guess is probably the most popular song from that EP. It's about the Starry Night cult waking Cthulhu. And I tried to just like, I picked things that are very relevant to like the overall mythos that the band is about and like experiments with in terms of like having a bit of fantasy and a bit of horror and a little bit of sci-fi kind of blended in together. And I tried to like do it as best I could, but I didn't want to like rip anything directly from him. So like other than basic incantation, like everything that is there is like my voicing. Malcolm wrote one song called Spellbound Unearthed Terror, and that one's still based off of like a Lovecraftian artifact that is used, and there's this whole story that's like original that's told about it. But yeah, that's I kind of like I said, that's
super cool, dude. I mean, and Lovecraft is, I hope, somewhat of a household name in certain bubbles. I connected with him, quite early, and Cthulhu is literally become like a lifelong metaphor for the negativity that we hold within ourselves, dude. And if you think about how I've attributed negative emotion to back pain, so I've literally come with the metaphor of there's a Cthulhu sleeping at the bottom of my back that will, wake up and cause havoc
Yeah.
if I feed it too much negativity, and that's the same thing with the Lovecraftian story of Cthulhu, which is this um um enemy of humanity that is waiting at the bottom of the ocean, just until it finally awakes and comes and just takes us out.
Yeah.
And so and if you think of us as a collective consciousness, that metaphor is everybody's me, and I'm on the earth waiting for Cthulhu to come out of the ocean. Well, how do I keep Cthulhu down, sleeping?
Yeah.
Fight it with positivity, dude. Fight it with the cool shit that the muse feeds me, and brings that positive vibe to my life that keeps Cthulhu at the bottom of the fucking ocean, dude. And you fucking stay there, dude. Even though you're sick as fuck because you're cephalopod in the head and you're fucking super sick, and I can't even really fully pronounce your name because my mouth can't fully extend the noises that would be your true name, because I'm just mere human while you're a fucking demigod sleeping at the bottom of the ocean. But just fucking stay down there, dude. Just like I'm having a good time on the beach with my fucking flip-flops and a fucking cocktail in my hand, dude, while the fucking sun's burning my skin because I forgot to put sunscreen on,
Dude, Ian just nailed you, dude. You just got called out.
I've had quite a bit of back and forth with Cthulhu in my life, dude. Sorry.
No, that's sick. It's pretty crazy that it's become the face of cosmic horror, and the nature of like the ineffable and the unknowable is something that people seek to prescribe to a number of different things. I feel like it, that kind of it falls in line very closely with like religion and like that sort of worship, but they're kind of just like two different sides of the same coin of sublimation. A lot of people will take the word sublime and they think that it means like this like super fun, lighthearted, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like if you look into like the etymology of sublime, it's like it's not all peaches and cream, baby. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's
our sub was the prefix. So it's probably not.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's kind of it's cool how many different ways it can be applied, and like, like what people can do with it.
Definitely. Well, fucking Stevie, thank you. I know you're a new father. I'm actually gonna try to make the old he's talking to him. Are you talking to his mic went out again? Sit. Did I mute you? I didn't mute you. You're not muted. Watch, I'll mute you now. No, you're muted. Now he's like mad that I muted him that his mic's not working. But no, thanks for coming on. I know that actually, I have the future plans of doing the old procreation, and I'm always interested to hear people's perspective. It's your first, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I heard you talking about like Carrie, my best friend, same thing. I was with him kind of hand in hand when first have a baby and they're just sleeping all the time. You're like, this is fucking chill. And then like they're trying to jump off the stairs at 2. And then you're like, you have to like, you're basically just like you're like a pillow for them. You're like, all right, don't die. Like, please don't die. It's like, I've seen it with a bunch of different parents and stuff. So, how old is your daughter again?
She's
Daughter?
11. She's 11 months. She'll be
Okay,
a
okay.
year like at the end of this month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. So that first year, I'm actually just for me. What am I in for? What's going, like, it's gonna be obviously it's gonna be a crazy whirlwind of all emotions and all the things.
Yeah.
But
Dude, it's
Anthony had one when he was like 6 years old, but so he's still trying to talk in the mic is my favorite thing.
it's wild, man. Like
Yeah.
it's hard to describe, dude. Like I honestly like I don't ever want to take my eyes off of her. Like even just watching the way that she reacts to stuff, especially as she becomes more expressive, is like the most interesting thing to me. So like
when you first were thinking, or even before you even thought about having a child and maybe having a thought of what it would be like versus what it's become, what would be the biggest difference of like your pre-child to post-child kind of like a mindset?
So I feel like the biggest difference between pre and post, like I guess that I didn't account for, is just that like, and this is gonna sound like the most cliche thing
No, I want
in
to.
the world, dude. But
I mean,
like
people keep saying it probably, so it's for a reason.
the day she was born, it was like there was just this switch that flipped in my
Yeah.
head. I just kind of like knew what to do, and I knew what my role was, and
Just genetics came in.
yeah, and on top of that too, it's just like I never realized, like up until then, the love that I have for my wife was like by far the greatest thing that I had experienced like that. And
Your child was born, you're like, who the fuck are
I love
you?
my wife and I
I'm
will
just kidding,
do anything for
This
her,
is-
but like, oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah, it's just overwhelming.
That's a drop in the bucket compared
Yeah.
to yeah. And it's cool too because I feel like it's kind of made me like look at and talk to and deal with other people a bit differently. Like I feel like I'm a bit more compassionate and patient overall. But yeah, man, like it's wild. Like last night, for example, I try not to let her watch like too much of anything, but we were having like a family night last night and we're all just sitting down and we watched Nightmare Before Christmas, which is like a movie that I've seen a million times since I was a kid. And pretty much the entire movie, I was just like watching her and looking at her reaction to things and like how her face would change and what she liked and didn't like. And, kind of seeing her little hands move when the songs happen and stuff
See,
like
like
that.
natural reaction to stuff, like a
Yeah,
natural
and
human reaction.
It's like the most interesting thing in the world to me. Like I just,
Yeah.
getting to see her and watching those little gears turn is
Yeah.
so cool.
That's I can see that. That's like it's you're human too. It's like what you're showing them and how they're reacting to it. It's like it's in what they will become. It's kind of up to you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's your storyline. It's your movie that you kind of get to direct. But yeah, that's crazy, man. I look forward to it. I just know the whole like the epiphany of once the baby is born is like that's the thing. But the one thing I'm kind of bummed about is like everyone's saying that always. So now I'm like expecting it too much now. I'm like I'm supposed to be like, oh my god. It's like, and that's what everyone always says. Every person that's ever had a child for their first child goes like, when I held them, my life was changed. And I'm like, now it's like when you're expecting that, the story now, like, and but it's still what you're saying is that it just overtakes everything. It's
Yeah,
just
like
not even
and like I said, dude, I'd heard it a million times before, and that's why I was like, this is gonna sound like some
cliche.
cliche
Yeah,
bullshit, dude. But yeah, like
I can't wait. That's gonna
and
be
for
sick.
me, when it really hit when she was born is like, I watched her come out and the doctor and I cut the umbilical cord and then he handed her to my wife and I was just kind of like sitting there stunned and I was like, is this it? Is this the thing? Like, am I feeling it yet? And then my wife, like, she kind of like turns her over and she's like, "That's your dad." And as soon as she said the word dad, I
Oh
was just like
shit!
fucking started bawling my eyes out and like was like, it's like
Damn,
the realization hit me at that syllable, and I was just
that's
like,
rad.
oh my gosh, okay, whoa, like
It's like you're. It's almost like your genetics come online. It's like all right, now I'm a protector for this. This is my thing. This is the thing I need
yeah,
to be. Number one thing. This is
yeah,
it. Like right
hmm
here.
hmm
Damn. Well, that's awesome, man. Thank you for putting. I mean, I've heard the stories, but that's actually like a big deal. Someone you're like dad, and you're just like, well, me?
yeah.
What the you're like, oh, I'm a dad. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, that sounds insane, man.
Yeah.
That sounds life
There,
changing.
there are sometimes too when I'll just like I said, like I'll just be like looking at her and I'm like, oh my god, like you're my kid. I made you. Holy crap! Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's
Damn.
I never thought that I would experience that level beyond like getting the final master back for something and listening to it and being like, oh man, I made you with some other people.
It's like you going into the
She
recording
took
studio.
that to a whole new level.
It's
Yeah.
like going to the recording studio and they don't play you anything back, and then they like play you back like something awesome. Like, you did this.
Yeah.
You made this.
Except
This is what
I'm not gonna lie though, dude. Making a baby is a whole lot more fun than making an album.
Yeah, I know. Feels a little better, and and like you love the person. It's pretty tight.
Yeah.
Sometimes someone want Taco Bell or something like that, and you're like, dude, fuck you, dude. It's like I'm trying, making love is like that's one of the best. Yeah, what Anthony's doing right there. There's nothing better. It's like what Tom Segura always joked about with so you ever just like leave it in, like how good it feels to just leave it in. I don't know why that got me. So he's like, he's all. It's equated to me in my head as the first time you have cheese. You're like, this is really good. It's all the first time someone melts cheese on something. You're like, what the fuck is this? But no,
Oh,
it's awesome,
goddamn.
man. I'm super glad for you. That's So how long have you and your wife been together?
We met in 2019.
Nice,
And
awesome.
pretty much like
You pandemicked it
we
together and just went
yeah,
right into it.
so we met in 2019 when I was in Dallas for a show, and then I went back and hung out with her a couple weeks later when I was home because I had some downtime. And then we just like we hit it off so well. We were like talking every day after the day that we met
Mhm.
and everything, and then so we started dating, doing the long distance thing, and then I actually moved to Dallas in 2020 at the beginning of March, and it was like I moved. First weekend we went to go see Gorod play, and then the
Yeah.
following weekend
Everything was
everything was
done.
shut down.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my god.
like luckily we gelled well enough with each other, and then also like both of our jobs, day jobs are like essential.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
we were both still like working the entire time and stuff, but like everything was closed. So we just spent a lot of time together and like talked about stuff and played games and stuff.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah.
That's really cool. That's like me and Trevor too, where I moved in. I was living in Sacramento like alone, went through a big kind of split up thing and got my own apartment for about a year. And then Trevor offered, he was like, I have a room open in this awesome house and they try to find a job here and come back. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm all excited, like back with my friends because Santa Cruz is where I grew up.
Mhm.
And so I'm back here and like 2 months later, like done. Everything's just like gone. It's like pandemic just hits, and I'm just like, all right, well, I came here. Well, at least luckily, if I was stuck in my apartment by myself through this, that would probably be a nightmare. Like
Oh yeah, dude.
not having anyone to really hang out with and stuff, and being in a town that I didn't grow up in or
Mhm.
have no friends. I mean, I have like Gabe Seaver. I have friends out there, but it's not like my hometown friends, like my lifelong friends, that
Yeah.
I've known forever. So I was like, just under the wire, made it back here and just was able to have little get-togethers and all the things. But yeah, having a system in place for that period of time sounds like amazing, and I'm glad you guys created a child from it and
Mhm.
everything's going good and you guys are killing it. I'm really proud. That's awesome, dude. You're fucking awesome. I love
Thanks,
it.
dude. I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's probably wrap it up, even though Anthony left and you can't hear him anyway. But
Yeah.
but thanks again for staying for so long and stuff. And I know we blabbed for a long time, but it was awesome. And Inferi, fuck, I saw you guys last time. I saw you guys that Santa Cruz show when things opened up at the Catalyst. That the promoter was my friend, and he's like, it's going to be on the small room, and then it's sold out immediately. We're going to the big room, and that almost sold out. That was like 100 tickets from selling out the main. Like, we're fucking humongous bands play. It was,
yeah.
And I was like, this is the biggest death metal. You were a part of the biggest death metal show in Santa Cruz history for sure. That was
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was.
That's
I was
fucking
blown away. I was like sitting there on the upper deck, just like, what the, like, seeing a huge sea of people in Santa Cruz for death metal, and usually there's like 8 for death metal.
Yeah.
There's like 8 and me, and then all the people that, like, were there with the friends and stuff like that, and that's like it. It's like, so it was really cool that you guys are doing your thing and going out in UK with Decapitated doing
Loyalty tour, yeah.
That's
the Spheres of Madness album.
The influenced genres of music. Like, that's really cool. I've toured with Decapitated. They're fucking red. And Vogue, one of the coolest dudes. I love that guy to death. You're gonna love that.
Hell yeah. I'm stoked.
Keep rocking and rolling, brother. Is there anything else you want to plug? Where do you get merch and stuff?
Yeah, we've got like merch available on Indie Merch. We've got merch available on Night Shift, the Artisan Era store as well. All kinds of stuff. Just go check it out.
Fuck yeah.
And yeah, we're about to hit the US, Canada, and then all over the UK and Ireland. So if you're around, come check it out. It's gonna be a fucking blast. We've got a really sick tour package lined up for both of them. And
there's one right here,
keep
right?
your ears peeled, yes sir. And if you keep your ears peeled, you might hear some new music very soon.
Oh shit. Fuck yeah, man.
So,
well, thanks again, Stevie, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
A lot of cool stories. You're a cool dude. Any band's really stoked to have you, man. A person with that kind of like, you're very happy, you're very nice, you're very cool. Like,
thanks,
any band should be lucky to have you. So I'm stoked for you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. You have a good night. Peace out, guys.
Later.